What are you going to do with all that money, you hump? Tell me, what are you going to do? Get laid. Best whore in the Neon Crew podcast. Two whores. Two best whores in the Neon Crew podcast. You do it for me.
Sorcerer.
Very great character exchange in Sorcerer, not to get into spoiler territory from the get-go.
Right.
But one of the few times in that movie where like characters are kind of amicable towards each other. Because really, like, almost the entire time, it's just, like, pure hostility at best.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird way to describe it, but it's kind of, I'd imagine I did a few jobs where you're just working with other dudes and everyone just wants to get paid. So it's like, we don't get paid unless the job gets done. So we're just helping each other out specifically to get paid.
Right.
You know, where that one actually was like, there's some sympathy going on.
Yeah. And I respect the fact that, and, you know, we'll talk about it later.
Yes.
But I respect the fact that in this movie, there is this sentiment of, like, it is a job at the end of the day, and that's kind of where the relationships lie.
Yes.
Because with movies like this, there's often that temptation of, like, oh, we have characters that, because they're going through hell together, they form, like, some sort of, like, weird bond. And there is sort of, like, an unspoken thing that they do have with each other in the scene where they have to move the tree. But there is, at also the end of the day, just, like, this complete detachment they have with each other.
Yeah.
This, like, shared horror experience that, like, they're just kind of, like, in it for themselves. And I mean, we'll get to it.
It comes off that way. Yeah, a little teaser for Sorcerer.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome everybody to the 76th episode of the Neon Crew podcast. My name is Kyle,
And I'm McClain.
and you know, this is an episode that we had to push back, unfortunately, because we're both very busy dudes, apparently.
Summer's chaotic. Summer is chaos.
Very chaotic. Well, specifically July was chaotic for the both of us, I think. But luckily, we're getting back into the swing of things, getting a new routine going. I say new routine, but it's been the same routine.
Probably, scheduling will remain the same.
Scheduling will remain the same. We have a reliability that we have to uphold. But, I mean, hopefully you guys enjoyed the supplementary content of Long Legs. I don't know if you listened to any of it. I did a portion of it without spoilers, so...
I have not, but good friend of the pod, Jay Hall, recommended that. He gave me 2 films to check out, so both of them I think I added to the watch list.
Nice.
Long Legs is very intriguing, so I'll probably, whenever I do see it, go back to listen to that to see what you got to say about it, because I don't know if we'll talk about it.
I'd be curious. I'd be curious if it's still in theaters, because it did okay in the box office.
Yeah.
Like, it certainly outperformed Maxine, which everybody thought was going to be, like, the horror film for this month, and then Long Legs just kind of came in and ate its dinner. But
they did the advertising run on Long Legs, I thought was pretty good.
Marketing was pretty killer.
Yeah.
You know, pardon the pun, but they did a really good job of, like, setting expectations for that movie.
Yeah.
And it did generate that sort of discussion of, like, oh, this is kind of like Silence of the Lambs. This is, like, really scary, blah, blah, blah.
Ooh.
This has got, like, some guerrilla marketing stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how they did the marketing. And it's also pretty representative of what the movie is as a whole after seeing it. So
Sweet.
But, yeah, we've got some stuff to talk about.
Yes.
A little bit of news before we jump into our film discussions.
Okay.
I'm sure you saw it. I saw it. What was it, like 2 days ago or something? RDJ announced that he's going to be Doctor Doom in the MCU. And there's a lot of reactions to that.
It's kind of weird, isn't it?
A little weird, yeah.
Like, you just go from Iron Man to... Is it Doctor Doom's a nemesis, correct?
Doctor Doom, from my understanding, and I have a very base level of what his character is supposed to be in the comics. My chair keeps, like, trying to kick itself out from under me. I don't think it likes me anymore. I've abandoned it this whole time, us not doing a normal episode. Now it's pissed at me.
Yeah. Little toaster oven effect.
I guess so. Not in the bathtub, hopefully.
No.
But from my understanding, Doctor Doom is, like, the nemesis to the Fantastic Four.
Oh,
he's like...
great.
he's a character who I think was friends with them or like a colleague of theirs because they're all scientists and they're all pretty smart. And then the accident happens. The Fantastic Four members get like their abilities, but they still retain their good nature. Whereas Victor Von Doom succumbs to like his more psychotic tendencies. I think that's my understanding. I could be totally off base.
There's really no room for a fifth wheel. Yeah. I know that we all got kind of cursed with these powers, but yeah, you're not invited to dinner.
Yeah, sorry, Vic. We can't call it the Fantastic Five, really. Yeah. He's like, what do you mean? It rolls off the tongue just like Fantastic Four. No. 4, it's a nice, even, rounded number. Yeah. 5 is like, It's like when you go to dinner and there's like 6 chairs, but then you have 5 people and there's like the one missing. It's just weird. Like,
it is. Now we can get some leg room. We'll kick out the other 2 chairs.
If there's 4 of us, we can all get a booth. Yeah. We don't have to settle for a table.
I'll sit in the high chair. I don't care.
Oh, nope. Sorry, Victor.
It's okay. Yeah, I don't really know much about Dr. Doom. I just saw Downey do the flip and did like the I am God move. And
he did the I am Iron Man arms wide open pose.
I was like, oh, they're keeping it in-house with them. Good for him. He's going to make another $100 million. And then it was... he's
going to get paid the most an actor's ever been.
Yeah. Well, he's done so many... he's done 8 Marvel movies.
Has it been 8?
I read a little bit on... I think he had the 8, and then he had, Oppenheimer come out, and he also had another film come out that was maybe successful, or at least he got his Oscar nod in Oppenheimer.
So... during the MCU, he was doing the Sherlock thing as well.
Yeah.
Which everybody's been speculating, is there going to be a 3rd movie? And now with this announcement, they're like, well, that's not going to happen for a long time, if not ever.
Well, the second one bombed.
Oh, really? I haven't seen the second one. I've seen the first one.
First one wasn't bad.
First one's kind of a fun time.
Yeah. That's the best way that you could describe it.
He's kind of just doing his, like... Tony Stark thing, but as Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, quick-witted, smart dude, and they got some action sequences in there. They made it fun, and then the second one I can't remember, but it is like I think they just went over the top with everything.
The second one, from my understanding, they went really heavy with like the slow motion scenes.
Yeah, I've seen it once, and honestly, there was a couple storylines that I thought was just really weird. Yeah, and it was like, okay, like they just thrust this together because the first one did so well.
Sherlock Holmes. He's in those movies at the same time as the MCU. After he leaves, the first movie he does is Dr. Dolittle, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like a tremendous bomb. And then after that, there really wasn't much in the way of him doing acting gigs. He was just kind of like lightly promoting his like podcast, healthy environmental living type of stuff that he does with his wife, who is a producer, by the way. And... then there really wasn't too much, and then he's in Oppenheimer, which gets him the Oscar. And to me, this move of casting him as Dr. Doom, at least from his perspective, is like, cool, I have my Oscar. I don't have anything else to prove. Give me all the money in the world.
Dude.
And I'll help you out with your franchise.
He had the best... I don't remember if I read it or if it was just a thought, but I was like, he's got the cushiest role ever. Like Iron Man, because it did so well. I mean, think about it. He's everything around him CGI'd. Whenever they do, he's in the suit. It's just him in that thing, And then you have 25 minutes of scheduling that you have to worry about. Like, hey, you're in these scenes as you,
right?
Outside of the Iron Man films, because that's predominantly him. But like once you get into the Avenger films and stuff, like. Hey, you just got to show up to the green screen, on Thursday and Friday, and we're going to record your lines.
Right. I haven't, watched that much behind the scenes of, Marvel stuff, but almost every single picture I see from, a celebrity posting, oh, I'm hanging out with the actors on the set of, Spider-Man Far From Home or whatever. Yeah. It's always some, green screen studio room they're in. It's, never any, real, location or, super intricately built sets or anything. It's always just some green screen thing.
Yeah,
which I find kind of amusing. But it does say a lot too, and you mentioned it before, the fact that he will be playing this character who is, for the most part, from what I understand, wearing a mask.
Yeah.
So a lot of the heavy lifting from him will just be probably the initial introduction of that character, and then moving on to him mostly, if not permanently, wearing the mask, and then RDJ just providing voiceover work?
Well, I guess it depends, because what they did with the Josh Brolin as Thanos, like he had with the green screen stuff, like they had him out there.
Yeah,
so
he was in like the mocap and the face tracking.
Exactly. It makes it easier for them when they do like some of those interactions on the green screen. So I mean, I'm assuming that. Yeah, and who knows? I mean, maybe I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I wonder if they just like had a guy moving out there doing all the work and he's up on the side reading lines.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because we also don't know 100% if because like with this multiverse thing that they're doing, we don't know if he's just playing a different character wholesale. Like they're just going to recast him, have him look different, have him play a different character altogether.
Yeah.
Or if they're going to have him play an alternate universe version of Tony Stark that just becomes evil somehow.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be interesting. And here's my thing that I want to ask you.
Okay.
What is your thought on this from like a franchise standpoint, from like a movie fans, Marvel, whatever standpoint? Because there's a lot of hand-wringing about this that I've been seeing online that I understand to a certain extent, because people say, oh, this is a desperate move for Marvel to just fall back on a safety net that will guarantee box office draws.
Possibly.
Like, I understand that perspective 100%. I guess my question is, at this point in Marvel's run, where like they've been steeped in like fan service for like the last 5 years post Endgame, why is, because like I'm super like addicted to being online, like that's just me. So
Right,
I see this shit all the time of like people commenting their almost like weird disapproval for this move, going like, oh, this is super desperate of Marvel, like blah blah blah, this is just like a huge money grab. It's like, I don't know what kind of movies that people have been watching for the last 5 years from the MCU, where like we've had movies like No Way Home, where Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, and Thomas Hayden Church, THC, shout out, come back and play the same characters that they've played in the Raimi films, almost entirely for fan servicey reasons. And then you get a movie like this, or you get a move like this, I should say, where they cast RDJ as Doctor Doom, and now all of a sudden people have an issue with it. Like I'm trying to understand what the difference between those is.
I would say to answer that one is they're playing their original characters, where this is a complete switch,
Sure.
you know, unless they get Tony Stark in it somehow. There's two modes that I go into. One being, we'll get RDJ, we'll attach his name, and hopefully we can get the people coming back out to start seeing these things again, because they just haven't been great the last 5 years, right?
Right, or at the very best, they've been like a roller coaster of quality. Like some have been like pretty decent. Like you get your Shang-Chi's and your No Way Homes.
Yeah.
But then you also get your fucking Eternals and your The Marvels, where it's just not where it used to be.
And I think what they're hoping for now, when you look at that, I'm like, all right, well, when I went to see Iron Man, was it RDJ or was it just Tony Stark? Tony Stark was cool. And if it's not Tony Stark, I don't know what type of pull RDJ has.
Right.
Unless everyone goes like, oh, man, you know, and they can kind of keep his origin story hush-hush, or at least, you know, if they go parallel, that's what I'm saying, parallel universe, I'd be kind of like, all right, well, what do you got? Until, I mean, I'd wait till it comes out to Disney+.
Right. That's kind of my thought, is like, I'm just going to wait and see what they do. I'm going to wait and see how they do it. And if it's something that I think is cheap and lazy and stupid, I'll call it out. But if they manage to do something, which I think is very possibly the case, that actually is interesting and maybe somewhat impressive, then it'll have my attention.
Yeah, I really think that they're kind of, if they can keep a hush-hush and they pull out something cool, I think the problem that you're probably seeing now are people are going, this is 5 years of stale shit. And, you know, if anything else, they might be like, we need to move past the Avengers Infinity Saga or whatever it was that they called it,
Yeah.
And we're going to rebrand RDJ now. So now everyone sees him as Iron Man. Now they will see him as Doctor Doom.
Which is my hope.
If they do it successfully, because then you get the both worlds of, hey, it's just a completely new character, new guy that's playing a whole new... And it's like, I can't move past Iron Man. This thing sucks.
Right.
Or you get the parallel universe. Hopefully they start linking stuff in, because I think they're probably moving on from Kang now. Or,
100%.
So like they're probably trying to pivot too, and it's
a huge pivot because like Jonathan Majors, that whole thing, they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
No.
So they're it's understandable to me that their natural reaction to that, compounded with the varying quality of their latest films, would be, let's fall on the safety net of RDJ.
Yep.
Let's fall on the safety net of getting the Russo brothers back. We're going
Are the Russo brothers doing this?
The Russo brothers are back doing both Avengers movies coming out, and they've changed the latest Avengers movie. I say the last one that they're doing.
Yeah.
From the Kang Dynasty to Doomsday. So they're really like building this whole thing around making Doctor Doom be the new Thanos.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. I think
wouldn't
could
that be sick if they did like some Tony Stark turns into this dude, and now we could, that's such an easy pivot into a parallel or multiverse thing. And
I think, to me, it would be more interesting if he was a completely different character, just happened to be played by RDJ, because then you get the showcase of Robert Downey Jr. playing a totally different character. There's like more of a performance there. He can really like separate himself from Tony Stark.
Yeah, but I don't know if they can. Like it's way. We'll see. I guess.
See. We will see. I think it's possible. I think RDJ has proven that he has the acting chops for it, but TBD.
Yep.
So. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to get your thoughts on that. It's super fresh news at this time that we're recording. We're recording July 29th, I believe today is. So
yeah.
By the time this comes out, this will be old hat.
5:55 p.m. at
they'll have recast Chris Evans as the Human Torch.
Everyone's back.
Something.
It's just they're all playing new characters. They're like, we are trying so hard to separate the Infinity Saga from what we're doing next.
Yeah, right.
Rebranding, but all the same people.
Will Smith is going to be Dormammu. It's just going to, yeah. This is going to be old hat by the time this comes out.
We'll see. Yeah, it was interesting to see that whole thing light up, and I'd like to hear everyone else and what they think too, because I saw it, kind of shook my head, and the way that it's been the last 5 years, I'm like, that's stale, but there is always opportunity in there. And I think, we'll see what the MCU can do. Are they really fucking the ballers that they said they were? Are they, non-shot callers?
Yeah.
Boom.
This will prove whether or not they have a foundation.
Yeah.
Speaking of a foundation.
Yes.
M. Night Shyamalan has built a foundation of films.
Yeah.
And not only that, he's used that foundation to create a daughter named Ishana Night Shyamalan, who has directed her debut film that came out this year. I'm talking, of course, about The Watchers.
Yes.
I can introduce this film because...
Yeah, I get Sorcerer.
Here's my question.
Okay.
Do you also want Twisters? Because I know...
I feel like it's kind of appropriate, but...
I think so.
I can do both,
if you're cool with doing back-to-back
I am totally
summations.
cool with doing... Because both these things are near and dear to my heart now.
Excellent. So The Watchers, 2024 supernatural horror film directed by Ishana Night Shyamalan, also written by her, based on a book by A.M. Shine with the same title. I believe Mac knows a lot more about that than I do. So I'm going to rely on him a lot to give his perspective on what he knows about that. But this is essentially a story about Mina, played by Dakota Fanning, who is an American who lives in Ireland, Galway, Ireland, at a pet shop, who you can tell kind of has like a weight to her shoulders. She's got a lot in the way of like trauma and different emotional hang-ups that she deals with on a daily basis, something from her past that we're not privy to until later in the film. And then she's also given task to take care of this. I think it's like a parakeet or something.
Yeah.
That she has to watch.
Canary? I
think so. Or does she have to bring the canary somewhere?
I don't know.
Anyway.
I didn't get the whole. She was at a pet shop and got fired, I thought, and was just like, I'm gonna go explore my life.
I thought her boss, who's like the same age as her, had to have her like drive the parakeet somewhere.
Some weird exposition on like why she's going here.
We will also be super transparent in that it's been like a month since we've seen this movie.
Yeah.
So we're going to struggle to recall the finer details. But I remember wholesale how I feel about this thing.
I think we all do.
It'll be fun. So either way, she has to drive somewhere far. Yep. And she figures, I'm going to take a shortcut through this forest. And it turns out that the forest is this surreal place where she has a hard time escaping from. She suffers from hallucinations. Anytime she tries to escape the forest, she gets pulled further into it. And she comes across this woman played by Olwen Fiore, who is a Irish actress. It's a very Irish name. And she takes her in to this weird mirror shelter before the sun goes down, where she meets Daniel and Sierra, played by Georgina Campbell and Oliver Finnegan, respectively, where they have to put themselves on display for these creatures called the Watchers, and they can't leave their little shelter at night because it's dangerous. They can venture out in the daytime, but they can't leave the forest and have to return to the shelter in time.
Yeah.
So this movie's about their struggle with trying to figure out how to get out of the forest and get away from these mysterious creatures called the Watchers. Spoiler alert for this film. We're going to dive into it with as much detail as our subconsciousness can muster.
Yep.
So, to me, first I'll ask you this question.
Yeah.
Have you seen M. Night's films, The Village and Lady in the Water?
I have not seen Lady in the Water.
Okay.
But I have seen The Village.
So you'll understand that, to me, this is a film, and I was kind of surprised that you told me that this is based on a story, like a novel, I think. Because to me, there's a lot of DNA from those two movies, The Village specifically, in this film.
As soon as we were kind of talking earlier about M. Night having some fingerprints on this thing, and immediately as soon as we started talking about it, I was like, I don't know. And then I thought about it, I was like, well, there's one film that I could definitely pull from that I would say.
For sure. And I would absolutely 100% say that this film is taking a little bit more from The Village than it is Lady in the Water.
Yeah.
But it does sort of retain both of those pieces of film as like its core DNA. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely not a coincidence, since this is M. Night Shyamalan's daughter doing this.
Yeah.
Where you can see how she would grow up with those films, watching those films that her dad made, having some sort of sentimentality about them, holding them near and dear to herself, and it heavily translating into a film like this, where you've got the element of, we can't go past the barrier in the forest because otherwise we'll get captured by these monsters.
That was part of the book.
Right.
So, I mean, yes.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, if, and this is like total conjecture on my part, if Ishana read the book, thought to herself, there's a lot of parallels here with my father's movie that he made, The Village. I can incorporate some of this into a script that I'll write, and the through line will be pretty clear.
Yeah.
Again, total conjecture on my part. I could be talking out of my ass.
I mean, it could be. I have no idea, because I mean, as soon as you pulled up a movie, I was like, oh yeah. And The Village was one that popped out. We aren't gonna, there's you watch The Village if you want to.
Yeah, we're not gonna spoil either movie.
No, there are some themes or some ties in with some of the boundaries that are taking place, or at least the rules of the film laid out for us that kind of resemble somewhat of The Village.
Right. There's the idea that you have a hard time trusting those around you, of like how much of this forest is like for real.
Yeah.
Should we be able to test the boundaries of this? Should we go into the pit and figure out what these things are?
Yep.
And then from the Lady in the Water side of it, you've got the sort of fantastical, this is like a story about like mythical creatures. like about these fairies, essentially, that you kind of find out like halfway through the film that that's what these creatures are, is like they're former fairies that have kind of turned twisted.
Halfway through? Yeah,
I mean, I don't fucking really remember.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
there was I thought it was a little bit further than that, but I think it might have been at the point when they got to the video with the guy talking, because this thing kind of goes off the rails real fast.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like, it was pretty, like...
It goes off the rails as soon as she gets off the road and into the woods.
Yeah, like, and from what M. Night does too, there's like so much exposition that keeps throughout the film that they keep feeding you like little bits of steak here and there, but you're not getting the full course meal.
No.
And then by the time you actually do get to it, there's so much exposition laid out and questions to be had that, like, when they finally hit the summation of this is what's going on, it's like, what the fuck? Like, you just walked out with a 72-ounce steak, dude. Like, I'm kind of full, like, ease it in still.
Right.
And
it's laying a lot out at you, kind of like M. Night's other movies does.
Yeah, it just keeps feeding, and it's like, I don't know if we ever get into another act. I know we kind of do, but it's still like we're still drawing bits from the exposition.
It almost feels like it has 4 acts to it, and we can kind of get into it when we get into it. But like, there's a lot that this movie lays out at you, not just in terms of like the themes, but also like just the events that happen. It's like compounding one after another. It is structured in that kind of like M. Night way, where like you are getting those bits of information as the movie progresses. So like, you're kind of left to like piece it together, but then also the characters, the way their dialogue is written, they kind of just say it for you. There's really not a whole lot of like jumping through hoops that you have to do in order to figure it out.
They kind of gave us a little riddle, but I know in 5 minutes they'll explain everything and come up with an answer about how to fix the riddle. Like, don't worry about that.
Is the Shyamalan DNA.
I mean, like,
shining through.
Fucking real. I think about an hour into this thing, like, I was watching it with Jasmine, and she's like, she had to go to the bathroom or something. She comes back and she's like, what I miss? I said, don't worry, they'll tell you. Like, you won't miss anything. If you walk out of this thing and step back in, at some point they will repeat something that they said earlier to make sure that you're still along with it, because it's too complicated for us normal people.
Right from the beginning, I was easily able to tell this is just going to be how the dialogue is. Isn't it? Like, she really is just taking notes from her dad on how to write dialogue, because the movie opens with this guy running through the woods, who you later learn is Georgina Campbell's boyfriend or like husband or whatever.
Yeah, something along those lines.
I think his name was like Josh or something. John.
The romantic interest of her.
Yeah, so John's running through the woods. You don't really see what he's running from, but the whole time he's just kind of like exhaling to himself.
He's implying that he's like in danger, in peril, and is trying to figure out what's going on.
So any normal movie you'd watch where a character is trying to run away from something, you're just seeing them run away.
That's all I saw.
You know that they're in danger. You know that they're trying to escape. Otherwise, they're going to probably die. But like,
I think he said like the woods is alive, or there's something here. Like, he kept muttering.
But he keeps like muttering under his breath, like, I gotta go. They're gonna find me. They're gonna find me. They're gonna kill me.
Yeah.
Oh no. I mean, it's like no normal person would take the time to like say this out loud to themselves when they're in this level of danger.
Probably. Yeah, but you know what? Let's just say this. Like, even if they do, they're not saying that. Right?
No.
Like, if you're pretty much shitting it until you get caught or you escape.
This is purely for like the audience's sake of like, Night Shyamalan thinks, oh, if I don't have this character say this stuff out loud, how is the audience going to know that he's scared for his life?
Well, we'll know in 20 minutes. Right?
Well, yeah, it's like this is putting a hat on a hat of like, you don't need to do this when you're already showing us the characters in danger.
They do that, and then when she makes it back to the cabin, the lady has to go, oh, that was my husband my husband left, not too long ago. Did you see him? Like, just in case you didn't remember who that guy was, we're going to make sure that we attach it to her now.
And then when the guy when an appearance of the guy shows up, she's like, that's my husband, that's John. It's like, we can maybe infer that this is John, especially since we did see him earlier in the film.
Oh my god. And Oh, and by the way, we know we've been trapped for X amount of time and that there are things out here. Oh, wait, we still don't know what's happening. Hey, I know that guy. Like, the fuck?
It's quite a bit of just beating you over the head with the most not subtle dialogue ever, which I really shouldn't be too surprised, especially since this is like her directorial debut and she is M. Night's daughter. Like, we're going to talk about that quite a bit because, like, this movie, at times it almost feels like the tenet of Shyamalan's filmography, where like this movie almost kind of feels like a parody of an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
It feels like he's like a college teacher, and he had one of his students make a film that he said he was going to help out with. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I will 100%. Guide you. I'm going to help you out. Let me give you tips here. This is still a lot of you, all right, but I will help out, insert myself when I need to, and it came off so fucking poorly.
Yeah,
like. Yeah, and I think it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, well, you're going to take a liberty here. I would do this, but you know what? Why don't you do that? And yeah, just fucking, at any point did you feel peril of the people? Were you ever like, oh my God, one of them could die?
Not enough to like really care, because I mean I wasn't attached to the characters. I wasn't attached to like what was going on with them. Because all you're really learning about them is like what's happening to them. You're not really like getting too much in the way of a backstory. I mean, like, you kind of do with some of them like later in the film, like way towards the end, but they're just like not interesting enough to me. They're not characters that to me have the sort of like empathy or attachment that I need to have to like give a shit about what happens to them. I was like, I'm so like torn on this film, especially since it has been a while since we've watched it. There is just conceptually something about this movie that I do think could work.
Yeah.
Obviously, if like you like really give this like a pass over, because like to me this feels very first draft quality.
Yeah.
Of like, you really just like kind of had to get this down on pen and paper. You really didn't like make that many adjustments to it. Your dad probably made a pass or two and was like, do this instead, but otherwise like this is good to go. Yeah. Like it really doesn't feel too much in the way of like scrutiny when it comes to how this script turned out.
No.
But it is that M. Night Shyamalan thing of like the premise does have some juice to it, base level. Like,
oh yeah, but
it's the same thing with Knock at the Cabin. It's the same thing with The Happening. It's like
those are all, that's like original though. You know, that's right. Where I get into. There's a little bit of pass for the liberty taken of being creative, versus, I mean, this is adapted,
right?
You know, so like, yeah. When I read that, I was like, man, you know, this is how you just you completely fall when you're pulling source material. And to come up with your own stuff. Like, I mean, this almost feels page for page as she just took it off the book.
Well, let me say this. That combined with the fact that, yes, she does have a famous dad who is a very renowned filmmaker, very famous in the industry, has a lot of those connections. This does not do any favors for her in any way. If she, like, was hoping to start a career in being a filmmaker, this is a very rough start, especially considering the perception that people are going to have of you as a person being M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. Because you've already got that idea in people's heads of like, this is just nepotism on full display. This is what you get when you have people in the industry who have kids and then they're just able to give their kids whatever they want in terms of like making whatever type of movie they desire.
You know, what goes into it is how much of this did we get? Like that's
Max making the like kind of money grubbing gesture.
Yeah, like that's gonna be at the end of the day, do you get another shot at this thing or not?
So this movie had a budget of $30 million. It made 33. So it's looking kind of rough a little bit. I could imagine this possibly.
That's not a bomb though.
Turning a profit on like VOD.
Yeah. I got $20 from me.
And they made the budget small enough to where like there's like some room for breakage here.
Yeah.
But this movie's reception and the idea that, yes, there is a familial thing going on, I wouldn't be surprised if like she just doesn't direct another movie after this.
Because that's, you always lean half and half. I mean, one half says, man, this thing's not getting the greatest reviews, but the other half is like, if it makes money, the Shyamalan name is gonna have the draw to it. Like, if worst case scenario, right, you make your first film, it's the worst film you're ever gonna make, and we break even just because you've got a name, we'll give you another shot.
Yeah,
So I'm curious I'm more curious if she comes out with the second one, if we get to see some improvement or growth with her directing, or if this is like another, hey, I've got the drawing instructions here. This is all you need to do.
And of course, I'm mostly just generally speaking of what I would assume other people's perception of this would be, because I am someone who, I'm not like, I wouldn't say give people a pass, but I'm not as like hand-wringy about the idea of like nepotism, or like if you're a person who is famous, who has a child, who has the opportunity to give your child the ability to do what they want to do, if it happens to like be in your industry, then I completely understand why you would want to help them out. Like, what parent wouldn't want to give their kid the opportunity that a lot of other people wouldn't necessarily be able to have? So like, I understand it from that perspective. And reading this quote from Ishana Night Shyamalan, it seems like she at least has some awareness of this.
Oh, come on. I mean, you'd have to be obtuse not to.
Right. And I'm just going to read this real quick about the idea of like this being sort of like a thing revolving around nepotism. It's something that I consider and have considered every day in the process. I was very afraid of what those implications would be and if I would be judged. Having something to prove when you walk into a room and a space is never a bad thing, and it makes you work harder and makes you want it more. In another interview, she said, like, discussions around nepotism were totally valid. By the nature of being born into this life and having a parent in the industry, there's definitely a sort of advantage stepping into the field. You just have that sense of being able to achieve it. I think as with any child pursuing their parents' field. So, at least there's some like awareness. At least she's not one of those people that's like, oh no, I didn't have any help from I built myself up. This is like purely from my heart. Like,
she's got a PR person. Like, we have to acknowledge this.
Sure, right. But
also, if you were a kid, you don't want people like you're living in your dad's shadows. She wants to step away too. I'm thinking that she's gonna have another movie or two. She's got to, just because her dad's got to have a production house.
If she makes another movie, I feel like she should maybe she should maybe try to step away, if it would do her any good. Step away from the genre or the tone or like the style of like this movie and her dad's other movies, and like do something that's like totally outside of that circle, because
rebrand yourself.
Otherwise, you're just going to endlessly be compared to your dad, which is kind of what we're doing now. Understandably so.
Hold on. I'm just looking at the movie by itself.
Yes.
Like, whatever M. Night did in this thing, or whatever he had ties to, like, at the end of the day, it's her name on it. So, unless I hear that he had 80% involvement or 5% involvement, like, I'm just putting it on her. For sure. She's going off what she knows, and I think she took if you had to pick a first film to do, you're getting your feet wet. We got to make sure you get like good maybe not good accolades, but like this thing isn't going to bomb. You're going to pick one of your dad's movies, help out with it, just to make sure that you get off the ground running. Because if this thing, and it very easily could have been, and that's where I guess some of the judgment from us comes in, if the name isn't attached, does this thing break even?
Right.
I don't think so.
No.
But
I don't think so either.
Who's to say? But I think that they kind of picked a cupcake one. This is an easy one because there's enough of the marketing that goes into it to draw some interest with the mystery appeal. Then it just fell flat on its fucking face.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is like, you get into it and it's like, I had this thing circled from the trailer when you said that we were gonna watch it. I was like, I saw a trailer for this. I'm kind of intrigued. And then you told me it was Shyamalan's kid. And I was like, okay, like, we'll see what she's got. And then you told me, then you laughed about the reviews. And I was like, all right, we'll see what happens. So I was one of the people that I would have saw this in theaters. I was going to try to, at least just off the trailer alone.
Right.
So
yeah, like I said, the base concept is interesting. Another thing I do like about this movie is just from a technical perspective, I think it's shot pretty well. Like, I think it looks good. There's like some kind of special effects stuff with like the creatures at the end that gets a little shaky. But given the fact that this is like a lower budget horror film, it's like not to be too unexpected, I guess. Right. Really where my issues lie with this movie is just story-wise, dialogue-wise. I really think Dakota Fanning is kind of phoning it in.
Oh, God, yes. Dude, that was I had a note in my head that I was like, someone knows Dakota Fanning and put in a pitch to have her get attached to this thing. Because I bet you they can't make it without a big name attached. Because everyone else isn't that great. Like, the old lady was all right.
The old lady I thought was fine. I typically like Georgina Camp. I thought she was good in Barbarian.
Yeah.
But her in this movie...
She's one note. They're all one note.
Yeah, they're all one note. Oliver Finnegan is doing his best Barry Keoghan impersonation throughout the entire thing.
It was driving me nuts. It's like they still know where they're at. It kind of gets into like the illusion of time a little bit and like how we can get like tricked or deceive ourselves.
Yeah.
And so I was really annoyed with a lot of like their lines, as it kind of perpetuated the notion that they have no idea like where it's at in time or what's going on. So it's easy for them to forget things or to like think of new things that are happening out there that it's only been weeks, not months or years. Like,
I feel like this movie maybe would have been served better if you really just never find out exactly what the Watchers are.
Yes, that's why
I keep the mystery to it. You keep the subtlety. You let the audience kind of like figure out for themselves like what they could be. Because, we've talked about it before a lot on this podcast, especially when talking about the Blair Witch Project or like other horror movies, is that the imagination is going to make things way scarier than anything you see on screen could be.
Yeah.
For the most part. And that scene where her boyfriend, husband, whatever, comes back and like you see the sort of like night vision, like you just kind of see like his leg in the camera on the television set. There is something to just visually how that scene is framed, because like just looking at it without any context, it's pretty creepy. Like, it's pretty kind of unsettling how that is framed, the situation.
Yeah.
Him sort of like begging to come inside, but then like there's something really off. He's naked. So there's just like this unease about it. And if they had just kept that throughout the whole movie, really, like, you don't have to have like the fairies of it. You don't have to have like all this like special effects stuff and like this fourth act towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, where they just shoehorn in a conclusion.
Yes. You don't need a neat little bow on top of it when like part of the appeal is the intrigue and the mystery.
Yeah, they could have left it. I thought where this thing for me, where I got really just, I was like checked out, was when she finds the video of this guy that's in there.
The classic let's find the video and have Exposition Man tell us what this is all about.
More exposition. And we're getting close to kind of like, we're getting out of this thing. Like, and then it just, and then it took like, hey, we're going to explain everything that's kind of, that you're seeing. It is supernatural, but hey, we're going to really make sure you guys understand why this is possible and what's occurred. I'm also like, where the fuck did he get a video recorder from? He created the house and he just brought it with him? Like, I don't know. I get stuff like that just annoys me. It's like, we have to have her find journal entries, for Christ's sake, something. But the whole thing is, he's like, I built this house, so, and I'm trying to remember if he was the one watching them, and then he was like trying to figure out what was going on, and then they started watching him. Like he lays it all out there for you, but it's also, dude, you're putting on all this stuff being deceptive, and now all of a sudden, like, we have a nice little like clean, hey, here are all my crazy ass cassettes played on the VCR that I so happen to bring with me. Which,
this is also something that is quite head scratching. You're there for like how 9 months or 8 months or however long they're there.
Yeah.
No one thinks to check under the rug
I don't, dude. Yes, there's a lot of like, what was going on?
I feel like if I'm in a mysterious structure and I'm trapped and I can't get out, one of the first things I would do is like, all right, let's search around and see what this thing is like.
Yeah.
Like, let's maybe take the time to like look. But no, I guess they're just satisfied with the interior decorating of it all, with like this shitty television set and they're like one couch.
We've only been here for a week. How about that? Isn't that nuts? How'd you get here? What time of day is it? Like, what the fuck are we doing? And then they have them, they're like, you have to get lined up every night, and they only do it one time. Like, we have to the watchers, like, they have to, who's ever watching us has to see what we're doing. So they have to see if they like you. And then I'm like, it doesn't even matter if they like you. They can't get in the house. The fuck cares?
So we learn later that the creatures are fairies that once worked in harmony with humans, but then humans like banished them for some reason. So then they became like warped and evil.
Some of them did. Some of them went against. They were like, we could still work in harmony with the humans. So that's what the old lady was. That's like kind of the twist of the movie, which I feel like I saw coming. It's hard to remember since it's been so long, but I feel like I telegraphed something of that sort of like, she's got to be like working with them or the professor or something, to where like she's not trustworthy. They've been setting this up the entire movie and you can see it coming. But she is a half fairy, half human. Yeah.
And when you're half fairy, half human, you can go out in the daytime.
Yes.
And live, and like they learned that the fairies are like kind of shapeshifters in a way. Like they're sort of like trying their best to like mimic the humans. That's why they've been watching them this whole time.
Yep.
They're trying to get them down, which I don't know if like you picked up on it. I feel like it was something that was like kind of blatant to me. Did you pick up on like the weird kind of like attempt at interjecting themes of like AI in this thing, or like AI art and like generate it? Because like they keep making a point of like, though they couldn't quite get it right, they kept like attempting, but it was like always slightly off. You could tell when it was them. They never quite got the fingers down.
Yeah,
which was like,
I could see that now.
Which was like a big talking point with like AI art when it was a thing.
Kind of checked out of this thing, and I was really just watching it to see where it was gonna go, because when you're still doing exposition and like kind of getting close to the final act of the thing, like, shit movie, you know, like if you're still explaining to us and have to take out that and just have a bigger reveal when they get back, they somehow escape and then she makes it there, and then it's like, and then you start like really questioning about what was going on. Leave it open-ended for possibly another movie, or just for us as audience members to interpret or come up with our own ideas. Like they really just were like,
it's that
we're closing this off.
It's that knock at the cabin type of thing where it's like, we can't leave any stone unturned, so let's just show you everything that we can.
Yeah.
You'll learn the story as it goes, but not just through what happens, like surface level event wise. Characters are just gonna hold your hand through it,
and that's why. And so, like when we talk about character depth, it does two things, which I don't. And maybe that's where general audiences versus us sway. But there's two things that happens when you do that. One, you give us so much fucking exposition, you don't allow the characters to breathe. They come off as stale. And also it hurts the story because you're just force feeding us in. So there's no imagination on our end about what could possibly happen or occur, or come up with our own hypotheses on what we're seeing. Mm-hmm. You know, there's no theoretical stances on this. So like when you do that, it damages you in twofolds. And I'm like, I thought they might get away from it, but they were even giving us, after they do the initial like viewing, then we kind of get into the characters and like, how'd you get here? And they each have like 2-minute lines of, you know, I got here because of this and I have no idea. But then they go like, oh, we got to get to the bike. There was a hole down here and I don't know what's in that hole, but and then they go and find the hole, and then they find the bike, and then they find all this shit. Mm-hmm. And it's like they just keep handing you out all this information, and then they go back and they discuss it. So like everything we're doing, we're just learning with them as they're talking about it.
Yeah. So we do have 2 other movies to cover.
Yeah.
And since we don't remember a whole lot about this movie, we're not going to like spend too much time on it. I will say we haven't even yet mentioned the fact that Dakota Fanning's character has a twin sister in this, and that like you learn that like part of the trauma is that she inadvertently caused the car crash that like killed their mom, or was it both their parents?
Just the mom.
Just the mom. And she has a huge amount of guilt over that. She moves to Ireland to get away from it. Her sister periodically calls her and is like, hey, are you okay? Which, I mean, you hear the sister's voice first, and it's clearly Dakota Fanning.
Yeah.
So it's like, are they supposed to be twins? And then is there also something going on about, like, she has, like, a mirror image of herself out there, and then these things are mimicking people physically, so then, like, they create mirror images. There's, like, a big mirror in the house. Mm-hmm. So, like, clearly there's something, like, reflective going on. Is it like her unable to like look at herself in the mirror, kind of like unable to confront her past because like looking at her sister's looking in the mirror, and then she's always reminded of like what she did. So there's like themes being attempted here.
Yeah, I agree. Yes,
they're just kind of like surface level tied together of this idea of like, you know, being unable to like look at yourself in the same way, I guess, is like the biggest thing I feel like I could take away from it.
Yeah, yes, there's some depth there, but I think with them playing out the story,
it's the most depth the movie has.
Yeah, but that's one of the problems with it. That's one of the things that I was, I kind of read up on was there are some, like the book kind of can go into some of those elements, and I think without having as much exposition as she fucking had in this thing, they could have tied into that. Mm-hmm. You don't even know about the whole mom thing until I think if there's 4 acts, third act, right?
Yeah, to me, the third act is they get to the boat and they leave. And then the fourth act is the twist of like, oh, she's been a fairy this whole time.
Yeah, and I think that's when they also reveal the whole mom thing, because she has like a cathartic moment of finding her sister again or doing something where she kind of steps out and she's like, man, I really had a change in my life.
She like goes back home. Her sister like talks her through it.
So then my question would be on that. So if it's supposed to be kind of self-reflection with the whole mirror concept and not really knowing who you are out there versus knowing who you are in here, does it have to be that house with watchers? Does it have to be mythical fairies that are coming in, or could we have done this some other way?
I feel like, I mean, obviously I think there's a better way that this could have been done. What that looks like exactly, I'm not sure. Yes. But to me, this is clearly a film where like you've got the bones of something that could potentially be really interesting and work, but it suffers from that M. Night heavy-handedness of the way the dialogue is written and how everything is just kind of spoon-fed to you.
We have to have a little bit more peril going on in the house than just the house shaking. Mm-hmm. And that's where I also got annoyed with, because I was like, these things don't really pose any threat.
Yeah.
As long as they're in the house, they're in no danger, right? So as long as you guys are in there, you're good. And if it's daytime, you're good. And then who cares after that? You're not doing anything outside at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can kind of wrap up on this film. We sort of petered off there towards the end, but that's kind of just our general consensus on this movie. Let's get into ratings. So I can go first on this.
Okay.
To me, this is a 4 out of 10. Like I said, I like the way that it's shot. There's a lot of technical aspects I appreciate just on a base level. Conceptually, I think this is a very interesting movie. You can tell that there's some ideas going on that, given a better script and a little bit more of a read-through, a little bit more notes given, this could have been like a promising, straightforward horror movie. Mm-hmm. But it is so heavily bogged down by the exposition, by the dialogue, by the lackluster performances, and it's just going to be the mark of the Shyamalan.
Yeah.
So 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I gave this thing a 5 out of 10. We're kind of singing the same tune here.
Yes.
I really do think, because I am with you on that they could have touched on a little bit more. They could have weeded out some of the exposition and gotten to some of the deeper themes. Could have been a little bit better of a movie, but ultimately, at the end of the day, this thing, I don't know, I kind of want to say flows well. It looks aesthetically pleasing. Camera work isn't so fucking amateurish that you're kind of annoyed with it. Like, I think there was cool shots with the house and kind of how did they build the house, some of the production design. But if you want a really straightforward film that doesn't leave you, panting at all, and, lighthearted horror, I would say, check this one out.
Not the worst, I would say.
No, not the worst. Not the best. That's why 5 out of 10.
Yep. I agree with you there. Speaking of not the worst, some tornadoes are not the worst.
Yes, well, they're all the worst.
Well, some tornadoes are the worst. And, of course, I'm talking about twisters.
Let's go.
Got to add the S at the end because that's the differentiation.
That's about it.
So I'm going to let Mac introduce this one. He's also going to do Sorcerer later, so you'll get back-to-back Mac sense.
Yeah.
But I know he has a tie to this movie and the previous film in a way that I will never. So
it's very true.
Whenever you're ready, go ahead and give that summation.
So we got Twisters 2024 coming in at about 2 hours, starring Glen Powell as Tyler. All right, you guys have heard us rant about, which there's also a big discussion on, is he a basic bitch or not? Which I didn't realize that was a thing.
What? Who's saying this?
People
saying
that
this about
only
my king?
saw the Netflix movie, whatever it is, the Assassins.
He's great in Hitman.
Hitman?
Who would watch that movie and say he's basic after that? Like, arguably his best performance that I've seen. I guess maybe if all you've seen is Top Gun Maverick, then sure, whatever. But like,
could you
that
say,
blows my mind.
Could you say that after, like, everybody wants him, that he's got range?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, I can't tell if I'm assuming you're being serious.
No, I'm being 100%
okay.
still. Like, I love him in Everybody Wants Some. He's my favorite part of that movie.
Yeah.
I think he's excellent in Hitman. If anything, that movie shows nothing but range.
Yeah, they were kind of, I haven't seen it yet. They were giving him some shit.
You got to check that out. Come to your own conclusion.
Yeah.
I think you'll heartily disagree with people.
I will.
With fucking nerds on the internet.
It was just, well, no, these were people. I mean, I went and saw it, and then I went to a birthday party, and I was getting peppered left and right with he's a basic bitch, and I was like, whoa.
I'm sorry to your friends if I called them stupid nerds.
Yeah, that's all right. They can eat it. Daisy Edgar Jones as Kate. Anthony Ramos as Javi. And then Sam's favorite part of the film, Maura Tierney.
Sorry.
Maura Tierney.
My tongue got caught in my teeth when I said her name. Maura Tierney.
Yeah, so Sam had some words about her. Directed by Lee Isaac Chung. He's done some other things.
So his other most notable movie, he directed Minari.
That's the one that got brought up, and that he got some movie or some money to do this movie.
A movie that I'm very curious about now. It was already on my watch list.
Same. It's A24, I believe, right?
And it's about Stephen Young as a, I think, South Korean immigrant family moving into the Oklahoma plains in like the 60s or something.
Ooh,
which you can kind of see like potentially the DNA of that translating into this, because like I think that movie also deals with like some like disaster stuff.
I have to check it out. Yeah, there's actually a huge ass tornado that happened in the 60s. I want to say it was the largest one ever recorded in Reno, Oklahoma, from what I read.
I'm pretty sure, not to like get ahead of ourselves, but I think he was picked for this movie, or he had an interest in making it because of Minari and the experience and like him growing up in Oklahoma.
Interesting. That's pretty cool. Now that is why we do the show. Little tidbits like that. That makes me appreciate that much more.
I'll give you some little tidbits.
So we got a retired. So the movie starts out with Kate and her friends. Spoilers for Twisters too. So and this all happens within the first 10 minutes, but we will get into spoilers.
And it's very easily telegraphed, but yes.
Yeah. We get into Kate with her college buddies, and they reveal Dorothy right away. They're going to start chasing tornadoes. By the way, Preston came with me to see this thing. I'll tell you about that. And hey, we're on the chase. We're getting right now. Let's see what we got. The Dorothy gets sucked up, I believe. So they're recording this thing, and all of a sudden, Javi, who comes back later in the film, is going like, "This is the largest thing we've ever seen. It's 70,000 feet into the air. Get out of there!" And one by one, her friends get sucked up into this thing. Bye, see you later. Very traumatic experience for everyone watching. And Kate decides this isn't for me anymore, and she happens to be like, for some reason, has a sixth sense of digesting these things and figure out where they're coming from. So, we get back into it. She's a meteorologist. Javi shows up, lays out, hey, I've got money, I've got funding, I've got the technology. You can help us set this up where people don't have to worry about these warnings anymore. So she says, all right, you get me for a day or a week or whatever it was,
I think it was a week.
Yeah, because there's a string of tornadoes in Tornado Alley happening, and she goes down there, and that's where we meet Tyler, played by Glen Powell, and it just turns out into them trying to figure out how to, essentially track these things and get something set up to where they can actually read what's going on. And there's a little bit of a nemesis set up in here, not much. Mostly it's the tornadoes and Glen Powell and Kate discovering who they are as people together.
Yeah. So going into this movie, I had an expectation level that I think that this movie kind of perfectly met because, not to give my hand too early in any way, but I think I am, at least amongst you and Sam at least, notoriously not a fan of the first film.
How dare you?
I know, right? Shocking.
How dare you?
I should be burned at the stake, crucified.
That's where the neon crew separates.
In front of the John Wick 3 poster that we have in the studio. Let him look upon me in shame.
Dude, if Axon could hear you now.
I know. R.I.P. No, this movie to me is exactly what I expected from it. It is very well acted, I will say. I think that the effects are very well done. I think as far as the story and the characters and the way that everything plays out, I think that it is very base narrative level.
Yeah. Oh,
and, there's not too much in the way of heavy plot mechanics going on that would be unexpected. It's not trying to subvert expectations or anything. I guess I'm trying to articulate this by saying this movie is meeting all of my expectations of what I thought this would be.
Sidestepping everything.
Well, that is also to say
Kick-ass twister romp is what this is.
Right. Kick-ass twister romp. That being said, and I think I can assume this just based on how you've been talking about it so far, and from Sam as well, I think that you're going to have a lot more that you take from this movie than I do. I
don't know about that, so that's why I'm not going to... Listen, Twister sits with me where it sits at. I mean, this is... So we went out. I don't know if we can get pictures up there or not, but we dressed up as Paxton for this thing.
I can drop some pictures in the video version.
Throw them out there because we dressed up as Paxton to go to this thing.
I saw your brother's Instagram post and it was very adorable.
Yeah,
and I already have those pictures on my phone.
Save them.
Yeah,
yeah. I took. So my dad went. We had a good buddy go with us, and then my son Preston went with us, and I would say hold off on bringing kids to this thing. Too intense for them. Yeah, that was a great word. Preston even said that. He said this is really intense. I mean, kind of going from the first one where you don't see a lot of
Father,
deaths.
I'm feeling overwhelmed.
I mean, at one point, sweatshirt, hoodie. I was asking. I told him. I said, "Listen, if you don't want to watch this, we can get up and go because I'm not gonna. I'll pay to see this again some other time.
Right?
I'm not gonna." And you know what? He held in there, and when it got a little too scary for him, the sweatshirt went over the eyes, and he plugged his ears because he didn't want to see it. I was not ready for that to happen like that. The 3 deaths right off the get. But Sam's been looking forward to this thing. I got really excited about the week prior. That's when my excitement really got in there. So my expectations for this thing was Glen Powell being charismatic. A loose story that probably didn't matter as long as we got to see tornadoes. And my biggest fear was the groups, because the first one I really loved that all those groups, not all the groups, but Paxton's group, everyone had a little bit of depth to their character, only in small lines, but they all operated so well, and you could tell that there was a love of what they wanted to do.
Right.
And this one, the group that was with Glen Powell made it really seem like we're just hardcore Twister fetish fiends that want to video these things.
Fetish fiends is such a great terminology to use for
Didn't
that.
they all come off really like a little too psychotic?
It's almost like they could have just like masturbated to the tornadoes happening.
Yeah, like I love the energy and the passion. Don't get me wrong, because you have to have something like that going on,
Right.
And
but they're almost like borderline psychotic about the way they approach the tornadoes.
Yeah, and even Glen Powell, I thought handled it the best. Where he's got the face on everything, and he's like not afraid of this thing. Which I kept telling P, I was like, that's the guy that we're gravitating towards. If he's not in danger, we're not in danger. Just remember that, because that's going to be the guy that you want to hang on to. And not lying, by the end of it, I was a little nervous, because I was like, if that guy goes off, he could be fucking scarred for life. But yeah, no, they were. It wasn't the group like in the first one, but they had some cool shots. So
well, they did it in sort of like a different way, in that like you start the movie off and. She's got her boyfriend and like her friends that are helping her with this. You later learn that it's all for a grant that she's trying to get, or like a scholarship for college.
Grant, yeah.
And they all perish save Javi, and it's like a traumatic event. She goes back because Javi convinces her, and then there's like this sort of like inverted way that it does it compared to the first movie, where you're with the nerds, kind of like the stick in the mud.
Yes.
For a good majority of the movie, probably like the first half, I would say, at least.
I would say the whole first act, because by the second act, she's starting to kind of turn to get with Powell.
Yeah.
They've had some good lines going back and forth about some respect.
And then you sort of get the sense that like, okay, there's like some stability with the nerds that she's with, but there's also some kind of like hand wringing going on. There's like some tension.
They're not as fun, but then she also doesn't know the behind the scenes that we've got to.
But it's like sort of trickling out. Like there's something going on here.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, you've got Tyler Owens and his group just sort of wrangling about. They call themselves the Tornado Wranglers.
Yeah.
They do like their YouTube vlog type of thing, where like they have 1 million subscribers, and that's their job, essentially. They made a career out of it. And they're hooting and hollering. They're loud. They're brass. They're very just kind of like in your face about it. But at the same time, there is this thing that I appreciate about the way they do it, in that there's this sense of Daisy Edgar Jones going like, I kind of want to be with the cool kids.
Well,
I kind of eventually want to like work my way over there.
That's what she was aspiring to. That's where the heart was at least from the first part. Like, you could tell they were just low budget, Tyler Owens group. And then she kind of saw like, oh, this is what you can do when you got money. You get to take those fucking 4 pillars, stick them into the ground, and watch the thing go over you and shoot fireworks off. Are you fucking nuts? I was like, I want to be part of that group.
Well, it's funny because like there is this sort of like perception of professionalism with Javi and David Cornsweat and like all those guys with like the hats and the uniforms and like all their trucks match and everything.
Yeah.
It's sort of like they're kind of like the Carrie Ells of the previous movie.
1000%. I was hoping that one of them would have been his kid.
And we can talk about that later, but then you get the idea of like, all right, these guys are like, they're fine and everything, like they're good at their jobs, they're like good at setting this up, but like, what's the end goal? What's like the deal with them?
Yeah.
Like, why are they really doing this? And then there's the sort of like to be expected idea of like, oh, these guys like on the outside they look ridiculous and flashy and like all this stuff, but like, at the end of the day they really do care about what they do and they actually like helping people,
Yeah.
And I don't know, I do like the way that that's structured. I like the way that that's revealed, as expected as it was, and as much as I could see all of that just unfolding in front of us predictably. I do like how simple it is.
Yeah, I had some qualms with the story,
for sure.
I didn't like. There's two, you get 2 character arcs going on throughout the whole thing, and it kind of plays into how the story's got to be shaped. And that's what I really liked about the first one. You get a lot of it kind of coming to culmination by the end of it. In the first one, you get they get to see the F5, they get to see the inside of the tornado, they get the Paxton kiss, like all that shit going on. And in this one, it's more so about, coming to terms with some of the trauma that you have in your life and going with a helping hand, and that person being egotistical and never really seeing that he would lend a helping hand to almost sacrificing himself, but that's why I like, that's where the story's got to gravitate towards now. And I really don't give a shit about those two guys or people trying to fall in love and coming into terms with life problems, know. And I don't know if it was ever really, if you could say it was reflective. About the only thing that you could say is that because of what's happened, that's why they were trying to make a change, and it almost seems more resounding that they can get this information.
Yeah.
But and kind of hearing the guy's backstory too. With him growing up and probably seeing some of this like in live action. Was it Lee Isaac Chung?
Yes.
Yeah. Probably maybe either experiencing that or seeing some of the chaos and destruction that it creates. Because I don't know if you picked up, but throughout this thing, they are feeding off tornado facts. They're feeding off what to do during tornadoes.
Yeah.
They're feeding
what kinds of tornadoes they are.
Yeah, like how to protect yourself, when to know. Yeah, and so that I appreciated that aspect of it, and I guess maybe that's where if you're tying into some of the Kate and Tyler romantic interest and where they got to eventually get to overcoming these things, but yeah.
So going to Lee Isaac Chung. Sort of like being inspired to make this. He was hired to direct the standalone sequel. He is credited at his time. He credited his time at Lucasfilm directing an episode of The Mandalorian as accustoming him to projects with visual effects and noted growing up in Tornado Alley as inspiration.
Yeah.
So there you have that, sort of like taking his real perspective on that and applying it to this film.
The special effect, I mean, I think it was pretty darn good, and being really intense, making it feel intense. Right? I think
making the sets feel believable, making the effects look good.
If I remember right, the first one you had issues with because you didn't ever feel that intensity or ever peril.
No, I never really felt like the danger level. I will say, retrospectively looking at that film, I do appreciate like the practicality of the effects and the coordination just the work that probably went into that.
Thank you.
And I think that a lot of that DNA carries over into this movie.
Oh yeah.
I think while there is like a lot of like there's some like CG and like some special effects and like whatever going on, they also do feel meticulously applied with the destruction and the practical effects and like just all the different things going on. I mean, this movie was a budget of $155 million, and
I heard it got up to like 200.
I wouldn't be surprised, because I think that nearly every single dollar of that went into making sure that this movie like looked intense. It looked like it was going to bring danger at any given moment with the tornadoes. Yeah, I think all that stuff was like just really finely done.
I do too. I mean, so like when like, and I don't want to compare the first one to the second one now, but like when you get into some of the special effects and that intensity level, this one's probably 8 times more intense. One of the things that I liked at the beginning of this thing, with the characters going on, like they're setting up some character introductions, and I think 1 or 2 of the people are kind of recognizable. So as soon as they go, at the very beginning, it's all hands on deck for anyone that could just be sucked up into this.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that they did that. They kind of laid out like no one's safe here besides probably Kate, and you'd have to assume Tyler. But at one point, I was kind of like, I don't know if they're going to have him get sucked up or not or be gone.
That would have been quite a choice to have Glen Powell just bite the dust at the end of the movie as like a
little
sacrificial
smile
move.
with that wink that comes off the teeth.
He does like the little twirl with his hand as
it's
he
the
like
Wizard
gets
of
fucking
Oz.
sent up in the air.
Or like Wild Tales. He's going up there. He's got like, woo!
Yeah, it becomes like full cornball.
You ride him. Let's go. Hot diggity.
Any sense of tension or like realistic like plot stakes just out the window.
So
just up in the air, so to speak. Yeah, no, I think we're kind of, it seems like we're on like a similar page of like, we appreciate the effects going into this movie. We appreciate the hard work, and like there is something to be said about the performances and the charisma that Glen Powell specifically carries within himself.
Yeah, I did not. Kate was all right to me. Like, I'm not going to lie. Mopey.
Sure.
meteorologist.
For the sake of the story, it felt like they almost kind of needed her to be like a wet blanket, especially after the traumatic event. Because there is like sort of the endearing quality at the beginning, and like you see it later in the videos of like her being like really peppy about the storms, her having like this sort of like Helen Hunt-esque energy about the storms and like the way she approaches them. Helen Hunt's outfits. I mean, it also kind of helps that she's a little cutie in this movie. But then you get this sort of like almost kind of necessary trauma that weighs down on her, and like the uncertainty that it carries with it. Like the first time that she's back, that she goes to set up this thing for the tornado with Javi, she gets kind of fucked up about it and
very
gets scared,
timid, very unsure.
Javi sort of like loses his patience a little bit, but then there's like I need to like back off here. Give her some space to breathe. Like I get this sort of like homework that they need to do with that.
Plays into the story. That's what I'm saying. Take out that, just don't go that story.
Sure.
No.
But at the same time too, you also can't help but notice that whenever she's in a scene with Glen Powell, he's just sucking any sort of like intrigue and charisma into like his own gravitational pull. Like he's going to be what you're paying attention to in this movie wholesale. And this movie being sort of like marketed off of like, this is a Glen Powell like disaster movie.
And he's got second bill in this, which is,
it's like he's the Tom Cruise of this thing. To me that speaks volumes with like not only like his performance, but like how people feel about Daisy Edgar Jones in this movie.
And rightfully so. And that's why I guess I kind of get into it. There's one person that had one problem with one performance in this thing.
It almost kind of feels like he could be like the manic pixie dream boy of like, what's going on here? Like she's kind of dealing with some issues, but then like he kind of needs to come in and like give her another perspective to like revitalize her in a way.
It's it's pretty archetypal, I'd say. You know,
it's not uncommon.
So that's what I'm saying. Like just the way that they had to present the story, and I think that's where they kind of differ too. The first one, I don't think there's much of a story besides we just got to get Dorothy up in the air, versus this one being like, I need to refine myself. I need to kind of figure out.
There's a lot more like character shit going on.
There's more depth and with the characters and more arcs happening, if you will.
But also at the same time, and this is something that I will give the original movie credit, is that movie is so base level concerned with them chasing tornadoes. And like you sticking with them. Almost kind of in this like Good Time-esque way of like you're just with them the whole time and it's like back-to-back shit going on.
It's just a fun group handling adversity really well.
That it becomes sort of like hard to telegraph. Whereas this movie, because it is sort of like that standard kind of basic tropey way of how these types of stories are written, you can very much more easily tell I know where this is going. I see the writing on the wall a lot more clearly than I did the first film. And I don't know. To me, that just kind of makes it a little bit less interesting because of that.
You have to. So you know, like with this, I guess why I called it a twister romp is because like it should be a carnival ride the whole time, and I guess that's more so where I'm annoyed that they had to thrust in a story. And the first one, which is kind of funny though, it's like, it could have been a little bit more of a carnival ride, you know? And that's where I was like, this one, I think it's really fun with certain aspects of it.
It has like some fun liberties, with the chicken landing on the hood.
The fireworks going off. You got the music I thought was fun as hell. Like, I don't even like country music. And I was listening to the soundtrack a couple days ago. So I was like, there's a couple songs in here. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm like the least country boy you will ever come across, but even I have to admit, like, this fits with the vibe of what they're going for.
You know,
I feel like I could get along with Glen Powell's character.
If they would have put it in a position of, hey, this is just 3 days of this, and that's all you guys need, like that would have been really fun. You know, like with this going on, it's like, well, now we were attaching characters, and we got to get a love interest going. We got to overcome some things, and that third act is just going to hit you with the one time. Like I was so thinking it was going to be like the other one by the time that they ended the second act, they're getting into the third act. I thought there was still more going on with the film. And like when it ends, I was like, oh, that was kind of less than stellar. you know, and it's a good. I mean, it's a decent third act.
It's a decent third act.
But
it's very like predictable though.
To your point, that's what I was about to say. To your point, you saw it, and even Sam, after when we saw it, I was like, dude, and I said that about the. He goes, oh, come on, you didn't see that coming? And I was like, no, I guess not. I guess I was just a little bit more hopeful with like some of the things going on.
Mm-hmm. For sure. A smaller detail that I'm going to point out that I feel like was very cheeky on their part.
Yeah.
And I looked at Megan when this happened, and I kind of like, all right, I guess they kind of like, I'll give them this one. I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. Is the final tornado is happening.
Yeah.
The town is about to get hit by it. They're trying to get people into shelters. Every other like viable building or every other solution is like either full or like not there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure I don't remember the actor or the character, but it's the black guy meteorologist that's a part of the team. I'm pretty sure he yells, "We got to get everybody to the movie theater."
Yeah, he did.
When he said that line, I was like, is this a movie theater kind of sentiment that we're throwing out here for people? Is this sort of like the language of when COVID was huge, when movie theaters were like in a dire state?
Yeah.
And people were talking about that as like a talking point.
Yeah.
We need to get people back in the theater to keep this alive.
Well, to keep what you're seeing in front of you alive.
We need to go back into the theater for safety.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, sure, maybe that's like an actual thing that they advise people to do in an event of a tornado.
Oh.
But at the same time, I was like, this is so purposefully put here
he had
as like a wink to the audience.
Dude, some tongue-in-cheek stuff. I think he
very much so. And like, this movie's steeped in cheese, so like I give it kind of a pass.
Yeah, well, I did. But yeah, no, this thing is, I mean, there's a lot of, I think this guy kind of knew what he was signing up for and just wanted to have fun with it and put in whatever he could.
This is absolutely like a one for them so that he can make another movie like Minari down the line. Yeah,
exactly. That's kind of what, but he did it really, I mean,
he did good. He did good.
When we say good job with it, it depends on the energy and the vibe that you're going for. So that's kind of like when we talk about this, there's like a cinematic, like when we talked about our hyperbole scale, like between like what's good versus what's enjoyable. Mm-hmm. There's some movies like Congo, not very good. I enjoy the hell out of Congo. That's why it's got a high rating, you know? And then there's some movies that are really good that are just not that enjoyable, where it's like, I'm going to give it a 6 because I was yawning the whole time. It's like, dude, this is...
Yeah, like your Stalker or something.
Yeah, well, Stalker was... Yes, Stalker got an 8, though, because...
Initially, when you first watched it.
Yeah.
I feel like that one's sort of like grown on you with time.
I still think about Stalker every time. Every time that I see something pop up or it comes up like a philosophical thing,
I can't wait to get to Sorcerer. I'm chomping at the bit.
But yeah, so like when I talk about this thing in such like high regards, it's more so about the enjoyability aspect of it. I mean, like this is a fucking carnival ride that you can hop in. That this like you throw it on your TV while you're doing whatever on a Sunday afternoon. You won't get bored with what you like pop in to see. Mm-hmm. Until they get to the fucking farm scene. That thing was like great. That's why I was kind of pissed that they had a story.
Here's I'm going to be totally transparent with you 100% right now. And this is not at all the movie's fault.
Yeah.
So I went and saw this with my parents and Megan at the Cinema Carousel. So shout out to them. It was in Theater 5, which I was kind of surprised it was already in like one of the kind of smaller theaters.
Yeah. Because
it's in like the main hall, but it's like way towards the back. Mm-hmm. Not nearly as big as Theaters 1 or 10.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, wow, Deadpool's kind of swooping in here, isn't it? So we get in, and because my dad likes to sit in the aisle seat in case he needs to go take a shit all of a sudden, he doesn't want to walk in front of people, which I get. Because we're sat at the very left side, anyone who could be potentially on their phone down on the right side towards the front, I'm going to see it 100%. Yeah. Like if you're sitting directly behind that person, it's like, sure, they're probably blocking it with their body or the seat. But this dude was on his phone for like 15 to 20 minutes straight looking at a bright-ass Facebook screen.
Yeah.
And I should have gotten up and said something to them, but I also didn't want to get risk possibly being shot in the movie theater at fucking Twisters. No offense to this movie.
Yeah.
But during that whole barn dialogue scene where like there's a big character moment between Daisy Edgar Jones and Glen Powell where they're like they're like sharing emotions with each other. During that scene, this guy was looking at his phone the whole fucking time, and it was distracting as shit. Yeah. I barely could take in what was going on with that scene because of that guy.
I would say, next time it's either you got to make a choice or forget it, or you got to act on it.
There was a lot, and like I said, this is totally like my fault.
Yeah.
Of like I should have just let it go, and I should have just paid attention to what was going on in the movie. But at the same time, it was like hard for me to, because I'm debating in my head, do I say something to this guy? Do I ignore it? Do I fuck it? Can I even watch this without being distracted?
I understand, I understand completely, because in that moment it's very tough to be like, what am I going to do? And then all of a sudden it just festers.
Right. And I mean, I got the basic gist of it, of like her opening up about like what happened.
Scene, dude.
And
it was a yawn scene. I mean,
and maybe that's part of why I had a hard time paying attention to.
It's a story about twisters, and here we are. We got to address, like, open up some wounds and some scabs. And we're going to come to some realizations and kind of challenge some people. And
I miscalculated. It's all my fault that my friends are dead.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying.
That's why I'm not happy anymore.
We got the story we got, but I was a little bit of, you've got a carnival ride here. You don't need to have like stop the Ferris wheel so you can go over and explain what you're seeing on the left. Like just have that sucker keep going, dude.
100%.
And I think that's you had all that intensity, and then that movie really slowed down. And they do. That's what I'm saying. That third act is a decent job of trying to pick it back up. Mm-hmm. But to have it kind of just come crashing down that hard so we can get some sentiment between the two characters and about what's going on in their lives and how to address these things, like yawn, fucking pass, know? So I was annoyed with that. Sam hates Maura Tierney.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw his fist clench when she came onto the screen. He's a big Iron Claw guy, and I don't think she did it in Iron Claw. And now all of a sudden he's like, anything I've seen her in, she sucks. And I'm like, I've never really noticed her. I
thought she was fine. I mean, she's just playing like standard like mom character who comes in and she's a recognizable actress. I honestly thought it's like tying back to you thinking that someone could be related to
I
Carrie
gave
Ells
Sam
in this movie.
Well, I gave Sam I thought my theory was that she was supposed to play Bill Paxton's, if anyone hasn't seen Twister, skip.
I imagine no one's listening to this that hasn't seen Twister.
Oh, so Deborah Melissa, whatever.
His wife.
Yeah, soon to be wife. Movie. Yeah, I was like, dude, they probably writ this person in. They were having a kid, and that's why they're doing the shotgun wedding. It's falling that close to the divorce. That's why he's got to get Helen Hunt to sign the papers so he can get married and they can have this kid and then foster it correctly. She took off, had the kid. Paxton's nowhere to be found. Helen Hunt you don't need, so you can just get Deb or Melissa in there, right? She has a kid. Your father would have been blah blah blah. And then I said, well, it probably happened with some of the writing and the scheduling conflict going on that they couldn't get her, so that's why they had to have Maura Tierney play the freaking aunt or the mom in this thing, because they had to shuffle this in or shoehorn this dialogue in with the character. Mm-hmm. But then I read also that Lee Isaac Chung didn't want any ties to the first one whatsoever besides a couple
nods
Easter eggs.
And winks to the camera.
Yeah. So
it's funny that you say that, because I was reading about this, and there was going to be like an attempt at tying the daughter character to Helen Hunt, to Bill Paxton potentially. So right here it says, around the same time, the studio rejected plans from Twister actress Helen Hunt to direct a sequel. So Helen Hunt was wanting to direct a sequel to this.
She had some money that she was trying to tie up.
Mm-hmm. Originally, Kosinski, who directed Top Gun Maverick, was in talks to direct this film, I think. And
obviously, it would have been. Oh shit! I bet you he could have fucking had a better story.
The studio reportedly wanted Hunt to reprise her role with the hopes of the story focusing on the daughter of her and Bill Paxton's characters.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of people, you and I included, recognized the potential DNA on the wall of this is going to actually be related to the first film on a familial level.
Yes.
With like her being the daughter of those characters. And that's not unfounded at all, because that was going to be their plan at one point or another.
Yeah. No, and from what I read, the guy, Lee Isaac Chung, was looking at it and he said, I had such a fond memory of the first one. He's like, I was asking what would Joe Harding be doing now, and she wouldn't be at home cussing out her daughter for not reaching out to her, getting back to her, and trying to help her get through some life. She'd be out there chasing tornadoes. So that's why, all in all, it's just a bullshit answer.
Helen Hunt would be out there with her.
Fucking standalone film, and I didn't want anything from the first one attached to this.
How wild of a choice would it have been if Helen Hunt as her mom was out there, one of the people helping her at the start of the movie, and then she fucking eats the dust?
Yeah.
And
they could have had
and then the movie is built off the guilt of her daughter, like getting Helen Hunt killed, essentially.
It could have been the same thing, and having to have her, she still got the shaky hands.
I don't know
right?
how good that would have been, but that would have been a wild choice.
Well, you know what? I would have said
people might have been pissed.
There probably would be 20 more. Please, dude, if they got one of those characters back in there and had him sucked up, I would have been like, that's so much fun. Because it's ultimately like the first one, they were in danger the whole time, right? We never saw it.
True.
So in the second one, it's not like I need to have more of her. It's just a fun throwback, and it's a director going, fuck you, I'm going to do my own film. But here you guys go. As, what do you call it? Fan servicing?
Fan service, yep.
Yeah, here you go. Here she is. See you later, Helen. I don't know, like, wow, this guy's got balls.
I do like the scene, as cheesy and kind of dumb as it is, where they have Bill Paxton's actual son.
Oh, God.
Easter egg in this movie as angry motel guest.
Yeah.
Claiming that there's no such thing as tornadoes. This isn't a tornado. This isn't happening. And then they try to drive away and they get sucked up in the truck.
Preston did not like that.
I can imagine.
That
might be a little alarming.
Yes.
to see on screen.
I also thought that was like another FU to like, oh, we got to do this. All right, I'm going to make him be the one person that no one really likes in this film.
He arguably one of the more unlikable characters behind David Cornsweet, who's just an asshole in this film.
Yeah, and like he was another one where I was like, they could at least try to give him a little bit of...
I mean, I think it's purposefully done that he's a stick in the mud.
Yeah,
like he's the most like wooden board character in it because that's what he's meant to be.
Here's my question.
Sure.
Carrie Ells, stick in the mud. Whatever that guy's name, stick in the mud.
I feel like he was more
personable.
Well, I think Carrie Ells was more like just kind of outwardly asshole, sort of like
personable.
Arrogance. Yeah, like he had more of a personality. The fact that David Cornsweet's character was written to have no personality.
That's right, yeah.
But then there's also that, like, if you're going to write him to have no personality, maybe don't have him be someone that we're meant to have, like, passion towards later, where, like, there's this callousness about him that they're doing this thing to... Because, like, the whole thing that Daisy Edgar Jones finds out later, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that... they're giving their findings and their data to this guy who buys up land cheap after it gets hit by a tornado for like the insurance purposes.
Yeah, one of the best like web findings ever was that guy like doing like, check out my new property. Right. He's like holding up his arms and it's like tornado just came through and it's like this broken down house.
He's got like a thumbs up.
Yeah, like
his teeth are photoshopped to be white as hell.
Cartoony fucking villain ever that like once again
not even really a villain because he's not a character in this movie. He's just literally like, I'm the embodiment of all that's wrong with capitalism, and I wear a bolo tie, and that's literally it. Like, you get no characterization, you get like no mustache twirling quality about him, which I feel like I would have maybe welcomed if like you want this to be a compelling part of the story.
No, because they had too much going on with fucking Kate.
I guess
like
there's like I feel like there's enough conflict with her as a character to be like, maybe we don't need this like insurance stuff, and then if you're going to include it, go whole hog into it. Make it like this sort of like cartoonish, I'm gonna be an evil like land baron for the sake of
they kind of
making you feel something.
He was in one of the wreckages where they're coming out and he's telling people, he's handing out his cards saying, you get in touch with my people, we can talk about prices.
I get that's like the one thing you maybe get, and even that's kind of bland.
It was like that in the restaurant. Like there was a lot of like, what's this guy doing? And it wasn't really exposed until she found the site, and then she's like, I'm done with them. I'm done. I'm not working with them anymore. And then she's like, I don't really know what I want to do because I thought I was doing the right thing, and now it's the wrong thing. And Yeah, it just had to play into the story. That had to be a storyline B, which they don't ever really like. And you're right, they don't touch on it.
No.
It's like just a little quip of, hey, we're going to get you. This is what gets you away
it's
from
solely
Javi.
to serve the point that Javi is not the same character that he used to be. He's kind of getting his hands a little more dirty. There's like some morality issues going on, but then he's also going to flip again, and he's going to be a good guy at the end of the movie.
That's what I'm saying. Carnival ride.
To be fair, I think the actor who plays Javi did a really good job. Anthony Ramos.
Yeah.
I thought he was super solid. I liked him a lot. I think he was kind of underrated in this movie.
You know, I don't really, the only people that like David Cornsweet.
Our new Superman, by the way.
Oh,
James Gunn.
We'll find out if he's got any charm or personality.
I mean, I think he's good from the very little work I've seen him do.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was solid in Pearl for, like, the 5 minutes he's in that movie.
Haven't seen Pearl yet.
Yeah. But I like him. I like him well enough. I think he's...
The three guys, like the Glen Powell, Anthony Ramos, and...
Brandon Perea. Brandon Perea. Glen Powell's like kind of buddy.
Oh, the right-hand guy?
Like, yeah,
you want to shoot up some fireworks, and then the next one, would that make you do, oh, we got some fireworks?
He's also the tech store guy from Nope.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Ah. Okay.
2 movies where he potentially gets sucked in the air.
Yeah. Wow. All right.
Light spoiler for Nope. Not too big
yeah,
of a deal.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah. Okay, I kind of switched my tune on tornado fetish, whatever I said, fiend fetish. But yeah, no, I don't know. He had some energy to him.
I liked him. He was excitable. I wish he kind of had more to do. I kind of wish the other group had more to do from the get go. I
won't say it.
Not to like go too long on this because we do have to discuss Sorcerer, which is like in itself like a big old steak to chew on.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I wish that this movie had Kate join Tyler Owens sooner. Or at the very least, like have more of a dynamic back and forth with them if they're going to like keep up the competition aspect of it. So then you really get to know like who these other people are.
We got to go to the farm, Kyle. We have to go to the farm, and she has to kind of discover some things.
Well,
and
then
not
even
really
at the farm, it's just Tyler and Kate.
That's what I'm saying. They spent 25 minutes at that fucking farm that we just did not have to have.
And then...
So that comes at the sacrifice of a 2-hour film of other characters getting fucking brandished.
Well, then the only other characterization of the other group that you get is them handing out shirts and like water and like helping the townsfolk out.
Yeah.
It's like the revelation of like, oh, these people aren't so bad.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I could have used like a little more of like their dynamic and how like much fun they were having with each other.
Have them like at the motel, they're all together and it's like, well, what are you guys doing? And then they all kind of quip in with like their own like little, this is what happened in 75, you know, and like they can each...
For sure what they were going to do, and I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I thought for sure what they were going to do is Javi was going to ask Kate, hey, you want to hang out later tonight? And Kate's like, I'm tired. I think I kind of have to call it a night. And then she inadvertently gets on a weird little adventure with that group.
Yeah.
Gets to know them. Maybe there's still like some like kind of cheeky back and forth competition there. But at the same time, it's like she really gets a new perspective on them, and then it's more believable when she does eventually switch sides.
Like she's like getting kind of like, you know, henpecked with like, oh, you're doing it for the money. It's like you're not doing it, and then they're like listing off reasons about why they're doing it, and it seems kind of like foolish and childish. But then you really realize they actually have ties to helping people out.
Yeah, but then they're like, hey, you want to play like a quick round of like beer pong, and then she like stares for a second and is like, it cuts to her playing with it. It's like, I could have used something like that. Get the
music pumping.
I thought that's what they were gonna go for, as like maybe kind of cheesy as it would have been. I would have appreciated some level of like
Twister romp, dude.
There's something needed here. Twister romp, yes.
I'm telling you, because
100%.
This thing feels like it should be like it's going to be the next ride at Universal. You know,
I hope so.
Like I
hope I get sucked.
The energy
into the air.
The energy that they bring into this thing is. I mean, they do a really great job with the energy that they bring to this thing, and about as fun as it can be with actually having a story behind it. Which, you know, when you talk about a natural disaster film, I'm like, this is probably like one of the better side of fitting in a story to help out with what's going on.
I think that's a good place to wrap up.
Yes.
Because we do have Sorcerer ahead of us, but we can get into ratings. I'll let you go first with this one.
All right. I gave this one an 8 out of 10. Like I said, I thought it was a carnival ride. I really loved the energy about this. I thought Glen Powell is awesome because anytime he's on the screen, you're just in good hands. You're very entertained with what's going on at the very least. I had issues, and it's not a bad story. I just have issues sometimes when you take a good idea or a good concept, and then we got to bog it down with some of these other things going on. How to make it better, I don't know, because I thought it was still fun. Technically speaking, fantastic. Only a couple poor CGI or edits that I didn't like that kind of took me out of it. Outside of that,
For sure.
believable, intense. It's a carnival ride. I really feel like it's a carnival ride, and it's got the carnival music to go on with it, and it's just fun. But I'm not gonna rate it up any higher than that. This is probably the highest 8 out of 10 it will get. It could always go lower, but 8 out of 10
For sure. To me, this is a solid 6 out of 10. I think that this movie has that entertainment value that it really kind of does make me want to revisit the first movie, maybe give it another shake, see in that movie potentially what I missed the first time and that I could recognize in this new film. I think the effects are, for the most part, pretty good and convincing and intense. I like the character dynamics well enough to where I wish we had more of that, instead of like the weighty kind of backstory,
the first one did.
The like melodramatic element of,
Yeah.
oh, I've lost my boyfriend and my friends, I'm sad now.
Yes.
Which, like, sure, if you're gonna have that type of story, I feel like maybe balance it out with more like fun stuff to make this more of a ride. If you're gonna have this be like a roller coaster, I don't want there to be any stops, kind of like what you were saying about the barn scene. So 6 out of 10.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's fair, and I think I think you'll watch the first one now and have a little bit more appreciation for.
I probably will,
especially it's almost 30 years since it came out. Like that I think says a lot.
It's almost 30 years since I've seen it.
Yeah,
damn near.
Okay, are we transitioning?
Transitioning.
Woo!
Speaking of disastrous scenarios and horrible weather and just awful shit,
we're gonna hop into Sorcerer.
That's fucking right.
Let's freaking go.
Let's freaking go.
So we got Sorcerer, 1977 Sorcerer, directed by William Friedkin.
R.I.P.
Starring Roy Scheider as Dominguez, Bruno Kremer as Victor, Francisco Rabal as Nilo, Madhu as Kasim.
That's like the Beyonce of this movie. He's just got the one name.
And then a whole bunch of other guys I don't think any of us would really recognize.
Nope. Only one person I recognized in this movie, and you can guess who it is.
Yeah. As Madhu.
Da da.
Yeah.
Da da.
So we got Sorcerer, and I really didn't know what going into this, so I'm gonna try to hit this best I can.
How much of this movie were you aware of before you recommended it?
How much of? Let me hit you with the synopsis, and then we'll hop into that.
Okay, for sure.
Because this one is like a fucking completely stumbled on, and I'm so happy we did it. So the movie kind of begins out where we're getting introduced to the characters immediately, and some of the why they are bad guys. First one begins out, there's an assassination going on with someone, and then immediately we transition into a French baker, Jerusalem, right? And I think there's some some bombers, terrorist group or political.
They're like Palestinian terrorists.
Yes,
that bomb a street corner.
Yeah,
they quickly, frantically try to catch a bus out of town.
Yeah.
Some of them get shot up, and then the main character of that little vignette,
was it Kasim?
Kasim gets caught and detained. And
yes.
then that's the last you see of that one.
And then we go into the French banker, and we find out he's got a wife, and he's kind of going on about this extravagant lifestyle that he has. And we found out he's made some bad deals, and there's a phone call that occurs and his partner's there, and he's kind of talking to his partner, and his partner goes out.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, isn't his partner his wife's brother?
So some of the exposition dialogue that happened with
because I think he says like, I need to get money from my father-in-law to cover this.
Yeah.
And then he goes to that guy and says, you need to convince your father to cover these expenses.
And
so from there, I assumed that it was like her brother.
Another Rungle of Rum moment for me. He was like, it's 10 million francs. And I'm like, who the fuck is just walking up to their father-in-law and be like, hey, you got $10 million right. on you?
Yeah.
Like, remember Rungle Run was like the same shit?
I feel like this one's a little more realistically
it's
played
grounded.
out.
It's grounded. It probably would play out exactly. It's like we owe how much? You think I'm getting? How long are we spending in jail?
You want me to convince my father to give you millions of dollars?
I don't know about
fucking insane.
Well, he didn't say it like that though. It's kind of like one of those like, dude, we're not getting it. And then he's like, actually, I got to go take this call. I'll be back. Something bad happens to him. So the French banker's out now. And then we get to Roy Scheider, who they decide that they're in New Jersey or in Boston. That
he's
they're
like a part of the Irish mafia.
Yeah, that they're going to rob a parish on someone's wedding day. They take down the parish.
There's so many good little details in this that I want to remember to get back to, but continue.
No, we absolutely can, because there's a couple in there that I know about. And anyways, he's taken off. They got a car going on. They're talking in Cockney. They get rear-ended, flipped up. Roy Scheider now's got to take off. Dominguez. And the mob's looking for him.
So his name is Jackie Scanlon.
Jackie Scanlon. They call him in when he gets to what South American country are they in?
So it's Porvenir, Life in Porvenir, which I don't know if that is an actual
they might have just took
territory
liberties
in South America, or if that is just like a sort of made up place.
It's a encapsulation of what they thought South America was.
Oh boy.
Careful with that one.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyways, Jackie Scanlon, he's got to find his buddy, he's got to help him out, who gets him to this area, and now we are all of a sudden thrown into Porvenir. And these guys are all working for a living, where they find out that their money goes nowhere. They have no ability to save up. It's been 2 years after this incident that all occurred within days of each other. And the oil company that's run by Americans down in here decides to go up in flames. And all of a sudden they got to create a trek, and they got to get to the oil company, and they have to cave it in, essentially, right, to shut off the oil from, or else it's just going to burn. So that's why they have to get this nitroglycerin there. So they find 4 of the best drivers that they could possibly find in this small town.
And it happens to be the 4 main characters of these events that take place at the beginning of the film.
Yes, and we're thrust on a journey with them. And so, I mean, this thing's got like 1 hour of exposition and 1 hour of hold on to your fucking seats. And that's what I got, Kyle.
Yeah. So going into this, and, you can answer with your version after I tell mine.
Let me, real quick, I saw this on Twitter. This came up as movies that are like, I don't even know who posted this thing. It's like movies that are awesome that no one knows about. It's not the account name or anything. It was just kind of like one of those. Yeah. And I saw you saw the poster. It's a very intriguing poster.
The first time I learned of this movie was when you recommended it last episode.
Yeah.
And I saw the poster, and you're like, don't look anything else up about this.
Yeah. And because I was like, this is all I got. And they kind of gave just a couple tidbits about why this did not have commercial or box office success, why it's kind of gotten buried, in the depths of the freaking films. So that's why I sometimes have a hard time choosing, especially, do we want to go with older movies for the audience or, newer movies? So this one was for the boys, and quite happy I recommended it.
This one's for the boys who are living in fucking hell. So, yeah, going into this, I had no clue what this movie was going to be. I'd never seen a William Friedkin movie before. This is my first one.
Oh, wow.
I know he's famous for The Exorcist, and he's done The French Connection.
Yep.
Big name director, has a legacy behind him.
Yeah, kind of psychotic director.
Did you watch that video I sent you?
Not yet. So I'm not.
Oh my god!
Full transparency, I haven't seen it yet because I've had a lot going on.
So it's a short video, but you could probably pull it up like after we get done recording.
Yeah,
but it's William Friedkin being interviewed by Nicholas Winding Refn.
Oh God!
And Nicholas Winding, like, not to like spoil the video, but Nicholas Winding Refn like kind of gives himself a bit of an ego about Only God Forgives, and William Friedkin just looks at the camera like, "Can you fucking believe this guy?" And it's one of the best videos I've ever seen.
I'll check it out.
I can't wait to see a reaction to it. But so I really didn't know what this movie was going to be. I had no idea who was going to be in it. Obviously, when Roy Scheider came on, I was like, hey, it's the guy from Jaws.
Yep.
And otherwise, every single face in this movie was completely new to me.
Which is kind of nice, because like
it's very nice.
When you're watching it, one, you don't have any like, oh, I can attach myself to that character. Like Glen Powell and Twisters. Like, you can look at him and be like, all right, he's not going anywhere, I'm all right. And this one, about the only one, maybe Roy Scheider, and after a couple events, you don't know if anyone's safe.
Like, you make this movie now, you're going to get, like, Austin Butler, you're going to get Cliff Curtis.
Yeah, a lot of recognizable faces that you could throw in there.
Mm-hmm, you're going to get, like, Casey Affleck or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's, like, a charm to this movie where, like, there's so many actors that were, like, either unknown or, like, they were in very little stuff. I think this is the first movie that Francisco Ribal was in for Hollywood anyway.
Oh, really?
Playing Nilo, which is funny because he said, I was excited to make this movie for Hollywood, kind of have like a more Western production, and then we fucking filmed in South America the whole time. Yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah. All on site. Dude, the fucking production for this thing is insane.
I barely scratched the surface of what I could find on this movie, and I feel like I still learned a lot.
Oh, there's a book. He wrote I think it might be like a Friedkin book, though, not necessarily the making of this. But
I think it was like a memoir he did, which I've heard his memoir is good. I might actually pick it up.
Nice.
But yeah, so like going in this movie was a big surprise for me, and I was very happy to learn that like this is starting out in a way that I didn't expect a movie like this in 1977 to start out, where like you get these vignettes. Mm-hmm. There really isn't a lot, like there's barely any context for like who these people are.
Zero context.
What's going on. There's nothing to like go off of like, who are these guys and why are we following them?
Dude, the Francisco Robal's thing was 2 minutes, and then the Jerusalem bombing, or the Palestinian bombings, I don't exactly know where it happened at, so I don't want to tie in. But the bombings, that was like 7 minutes, right? And then the French,
they each progressively get a little more detailed and a little more long.
Yeah.
And I like how it kind of starts out with like, you're sort of getting the lesser important character first as like the biggest point of mystery, and then you're sort of like laterally progressing into like the more and more standout figures of this film.
Yes.
To the point where you get to Roy Scheider, who is he is the main character of this movie.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made that like, yes, this movie has 4 leads, but like he is the center of it.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
it's sort of
Scheider.
Yeah, it works its way to him being the center, and it sticks with him pretty much the whole time. So it starts out that way with these 4 guys. Like, okay, these guys are like deplorable. They've all done some like heinous shit.
Yeah.
For like some reason or another. The French guy, I think his name is
Victor.
Victor.
Yeah.
Victor being like more kind of like blue collar, scummy.
No, white collar.
Or sorry, white collar.
Yeah.
I meant sorry.
Did you see where he was eating? They showed him eating caviar. I didn't even know how to eat caviar until I've seen this film.
Sorry, my colors got mixed up there. But yeah, him being like more on the sort of like elite, wealthy side of it.
Yeah.
Roy Scheider being like sort of like the blatant criminal side of it, sort of like
always running the streets.
An actual terrorist, committing direct acts of violence, and then a hitman who just comes up, shoots someone, but at the end of the day, it's just a job. To him. And so like you get these very unique 4 different like scumbag perspectives of these characters whose situations land them in this country, Porvenir, where they're just like laying low, trying not to get caught, and they're in fucking hell. Like they're miserable.
Did you see the work? I mean, they are doing work that I don't even know if we could have people do now. You know, and they're making, there was like $2.50 an hour.
It is insane.
Yeah.
And it's so good because everything is so convincingly sweaty and muddy and crusty.
Gross.
Every actor, I believe that they actually put these people through hell because every actor seems
They were on
like
set. They were somewhere down at like Mexico. There's a couple different places they shot this at.
they all look like they're going to shoot themselves in the head at some point.
Yeah.
Like, it's so convincingly built that way that I just appreciate it so much. I love this film.
Yeah.
I thought this film was excellent. I think that this is not only one of the better films I've seen from like this era. This is, I think, one of the better films you've recommended on this podcast.
I will, and I'm taking that because I've talked to Sam about this thing, and even after myself watching it, I mean, this went from like, I don't know, like I was like, I don't know what we're getting into, and it progressively climbed the stars. So by the very end of it, I mean, there's a lot to chew on with it, you know?
Oh, for sure. When this movie started, I was like, there was that natural curiosity of like, I have no context for these people.
Yeah.
But I can see that they're all in the same place. But there's like gonna be something that forces them all together.
Yeah, their actions have kind of led them here. And what are we gonna get to be the ultimate tie-on to say, like, you know, are they gonna have to bare knuckle box, you know, for 40,000 pesos?
Prevailing curiosity that I had carried me through until the point where like they're in the trucks and they're driving this nitroglycerin.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like the most tense shit I've ever seen.
Dude,
put on screen.
They do a fantastic job because like there's kind of like what could nitroglycerin do, and they show a little bit of it. It's like, well,
they
how
do
bad
a very
is that?
good job of like demonstrating what this thing's capable of.
You know, and then they get these guys driving these fucking trucks, and you're watching these trucks, and you're like, I mean, it's, you know, in a third world country. And you've got, if these things bump into anything, they're exploding. And it's not like, hey, we've got one of these bombs in here. We've got 6 total carts, 3 in each car, that if they hit, they're leaving a 5-mile radius of damage.
Well, I think Victor has the line to the boss of the company. You only need one of these to stop the fire. 6 of these is going to blow a crater in a field.
Yeah.
You're sending us on a suicide mission. You're not expecting us to come back. We want double compensation for this. Understandably so. But at the same time, that gives you a really good sense of like, holy shit, like the stakes of this are like unreal.
Yeah.
For these guys. Like, this is the most perilous situation I think you could maybe find yourself in this outcome of this movie, because like the whole time I'm watching them drive the trucks and it's full of nitroglycerin, I'm thinking to myself, if I were in these characters' shoes, I would be thinking of nothing but the circumstances that got me here, and what I did to deserve such a fate, and why I am putting myself, and if I can like even get out of this alive, am I going to make it through? The odds against me are like god near impossible for this whole thing.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just like going on and on about like the different things I love about this movie, the tension it brought me. It's been a while since I've watched a movie and I was like visibly tensing on my couch.
The bridge
like
scene?
I was like wriggling back and forth of like, oh my god.
I audibly said,
how the fuck did they film this?
I said out loud multiple times, oh shit. Like, when's the last time you watched a movie and you're talking out loud because you were nervous, so you had to talk to yourself?
I mean, besides this movie, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
That fucking bridge scene alone is worth the price of admission. I mean, I've never seen something that tense happening on something kind of simplistic of we got to get a truck across a bridge.
Get a truck across this bridge. That's all you have to do.
And the guy that falls down and he's holding up and they're trying to communicate and no one can hear anything.
The poster for this movie, at least on Letterboxd.
Yeah, it's all over. I want to buy the poster. Like I'm like, that is such, especially when you know the context of it.
And like you're looking at this thing without knowing what it is. Like, why is this movie called Sorcerer?
Yeah.
And then you learn it's the name of like one of the trucks that's being driven.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's so good,
dude. And yeah, like you said, I mean, it's funny because like I was not in that headspace of like thinking about like how the fuck did I get here? Why? But it's all led up in the exposition, you know. And I give credit to Friedkin for doing it. Of hey, I'm not gonna sit here and have these guys get into some philosophical fucking talk about why am I here? Why are you here? Why do we need the money? You all know that they're trying to get out.
And it's so impressive to me that not one of these characters is like that redeemable. These are all like ostensibly pieces of shit that deserve to like live the fate that they live through like one piece of malice that they've experienced or another.
See,
and it's impressive to me that like you're still wanting these guys to get through it, because like the severity of the situation is so well explained to you.
Yeah.
And the point of desperation that these characters reach is so believable and earned that it just makes it all the more compelling.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. The French, he's eating caviar. Now all of a sudden he's in here, he's sweating. He's fucking like, hey, Scheider buys him a drink. You can tell he's fucking miserable. He's like, I don't know how much I have to fucking save to get up here. The best is Scheider gets caught. Fake passport. They're like, for every 3 pesos you make, we get 1. Mm-hmm. So he just went. I went from fucking 10 years to 30 years.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna die here, and it's all. And he wanted to rob a parish. Not only that, he's got to have in the back of his head the mob's still looking for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, and all of these guys are totally like. You're not rooting for any one of them to get out because they're going to help society out. It's more so of just overcoming this unfathomable fucking feat of what you're watching.
You have been punished for however long just living in this place, and you're continuing to be punished even more having to drive this truck through like this scenario that will inevitably lead to your death. Yeah. You will die doing this.
If this thing touches anything, we're blowing a 5 mile or whatever, crater into a field. Like, you're done.
Earning wages that you were not nearly making as much of in your normal life, and that you're only like solely looking to get out of.
Dude,
this is supposed to be an escape, and you're being trapped further and further into hell.
I did the math on this because I was like, I just got to know like what these guys were pulling in, right? So it was 40,000. So I just did 40,000 pesos, right? So at that time, or as of right now, it would have been 12 grand, I think. So each guy got 3 grand. Mm-hmm. So you put that back into like, or it might have been 2 grand. You put that back into 1977. It's like 12 or 15 grand. Like that's how much they were willing to risk their life to get out of this fucking town was for 15 grand. Mm-hmm. You're going to drive that truck across fucking full of rickety sticks, old fucking most bridge.
Unstable explosives you've ever seen.
For 15 grand. You know what I'm saying? Like, unreal. And they're all chomping at the bit. All of them got into that truck like, I am driving this thing to the best of my ability, because that just means I'm getting 3 grand closer to fucking getting out of this place.
Yeah. And a big reason why this film is as captivating as it is because of how it's filmed, the use of the practical effects. I was... the whole time not only thinking like, oh man, if I were in their situation, like I would be thinking of how did I get here? What led me to this moment? The other half of the time I was thinking, how did they film this? How did they achieve this? It just looks like they're driving on an actual rickety wooden bridge.
Yeah.
And I'm like, was there a risk of like the actors falling into the water with the truck and like fucking dying? Like, what was going on here? What kind of wild shit was William Friedkin doing? And I was reading about some of it, and obviously, like, there's so much about the production of this that I wish I had more time to, like, go through all of it. But the main thing that I wanted to figure out was the bridge scene of, like, okay, how did they accomplish this?
Yeah.
Well, at first, they chose another location to do it from what they ended up getting. And then they found out that, even after they were told... the weather never had any signs of like irregularity, decided it was going to be irregular that day, and there was a huge drought. Mm-hmm. So they didn't have enough water to shoot what they wanted to do. They had to disassemble the entire bridge, and they had to reassemble it somewhere else. They also experienced another sort of similar drought with that one, but they were able to sort of like use a lot of practical effects to get across what they wanted to in the filmmaking. And I learned that a lot of what they did was they installed hydraulics underneath the bridge. So that way you could hide all of it and keep the truck safely on there while giving the illusion that this thing could fucking break at any given moment.
Yeah.
And that to me is like, I can't even imagine how long that would have taken. I can't imagine the headaches that William Friedkin and all the crew had to do to even like get that to work.
Yeah.
That, like, to me, that's mind-blowing. When you get a movie like this that comes along every once in a while that we talk about, where, like, it's got me wondering, like, how they even achieved this level of filmmaking, that is such a high piece of praise.
Yeah.
That I don't think should be understated when talking about this movie.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why CGI coming in with all this stuff, it makes it so much easier to do this stuff, and you lose some of the practical effects. You lose a lot of that grounded in realism that we want, and that we want to see some of the stuff happen. And now we can explore a lot of the imagination and get out into these different planets and universes and see these different things and put whatever we want on a green screen. But you lose a lot of it with what's going on with the characters in time. With this one, dude, I mean, they're all for acting.
It's all on location. They're all acting.
Yeah, like Scheider's driving that thing. I think he had like an insurance clause out on him. The stuntmen were getting pissed off because all 4 actors wanted to be like in the scenes.
Yeah.
And you get a sense of all that going on. Like, it provides that much more intensity because, like I said, Paxton and Twister, he's on the back of the car and fucking, what's his name? I can't think of the director now, is beaming ice at him and hitting him. Jan de Bont is throwing ice at him. And that's why he's shielding up his hand trying to get Dorothy going. There's a lot of these guys that have to, in real time, improvise with their body language. And yeah, like that, it was amazing to read up on that and see that. And the first location had a drought, second location had a drought. They were using like helicopters. I think they were using the helicopters for creating the wind, and they were using rain, whatever, hoses or whatever to get the water going. So that's why, not like in the river, but like for the
get
effects
the
of
like
the
rain effects and like the storm. And
so here you are, you're Roy Scheider, you're in a fucking truck. Right?
You're dressed like discount Indiana Jones.
Yeah, you're sweating your balls off because you're in Mexico. You probably have malaria.
You look like, between this and Jaws, you look like the sweatiest actor that's ever lived.
Dude, and you got all right, Roy, you're in the truck. We're going 10 feet. You got the hydraulics going. You got some fucking helicopter going up. That's probably why they couldn't, like, they're screaming at each other the whole time.
Yeah.
And they got no clue. And, Freakin's out there with a pistol probably telling them to fucking, say your lights, goddammit.
The fact that there's, like, no music, it's so overwhelming.
Yeah,
with like the wind and the rain and you can barely fucking make out what's going on, but at the same time it's so clear on screen that they are driving this truck on this bridge is so good. It's like one of the most impressive pieces of filmmaking I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, dude, both the bridge drives were fucking incredible.
And then I love that this could transition into the next topic. I love how right afterwards, Victor and Kasim are having the one moment in this movie that is like character connectivity and like actual bonding, and then he fucks up and they explode. It is insane, dude. I couldn't believe it. I was a fan of that choice.
Yes,
I absolutely loved it. It's like, even after all that, like, anybody who's trying to do what they did previously on that bridge would have a fucking heart attack and couldn't be able to do it. And the fact that they achieved that would be an impressive feat in of its own right. Yeah. And then they just fucking explode. And it's like, oh, this was all in vain.
Dude, yeah, exactly. Well, that's what he's going. It's like, we got to kill someone. The best part about all that, and I was talking to Sam about it, that really made me chuckle, is that so Victor and Kasim are talking, and they're like, well, where are you from? Where are you from? He's like, oh, I've been to different countries. And Victor's like, well, I'm from France. And then Kasim goes, oh, I was in France for a couple of days. Really nice spot. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, he blew something up in fucking France.
Like or he was like planning a terrorist attack. Yeah, or some
like
shit.
A coup in France. It's like, oh, lovely place. I'd really like to go there. And it's like, in his head, that they're like setting some bomb up under the Eiffel Tower, and he's laughing and they're running away. Like, I just thought it was really funny because even like when they're trying to bond and stuff like this, that they're despicable human beings. So even when it's like that moment of, like, hey, we're kind of getting close. Oh, yeah, a wife. She got me this nice watch. She's like, yeah, and they have to tie in the little bit of, he probably was there to fuck shit up.
We're on this, like, nice stretch in front of us. There's, like, no tree. There's no bridge. There's no,
literally no tension whatsoever,
there's no gap that we have to cross. Like, we can kind of, like, afford to have some vulnerability. Yeah. Nope, fuck you. You're dead.
Dumbasses.
It's like...
Because it's true. Even as an audience, I saw that and I was like, okay, they just got to drive carefully.
But it was like one of the first times I was like genuinely surprised by a film. A film from 1977 genuinely surprising me is so it speaks volumes.
Yeah.
It says a lot about, like, I don't want to get into the whole, like, we live in a society type shit, but it says so much about the fact that, like, you can go to a movie theater right now and watch a movie and predict every single story beat that's going to happen.
Yep.
And then you watch a movie like this and it's like, holy shit, this movie is like punching me in the fucking teeth. Like, I could not see that coming.
Well, and then the best part about that is they follow it up with Desperados that are Robin Scheider and
yes.
Nilo. And
when
you're
you
like,
think things could not possibly get worse.
And you really don't know if they're going to die or get... Like, at that point, I'm watching this thing and I was like, I know Nilo's got the gun because they showed it with him on. And I was like, that thing's going to come back out. I know. Yep. But I'm like...
There's a reason he has the gun the whole time.
I don't
They're
know.
They're going to use it eventually.
Well, is it going to be like, boom, boom, boom? All right, see you later, dude. Like, we're here to Scheider. Or is it going to go off? Is he going to pull it out and then get shot? You know, like, are they getting captured? Are they getting brought back? Is the truck going? Are these guys going to take the truck and then it explodes and now they're just stuck out here? Like, there was so many fucking options that could have happened right there.
So many outcomes.
Of what happened before, no one is safe. And we are an hour and 40 minutes into this fucking film, and you're like, I don't know where
this going to end.
Yeah, where their
How
fates
is Friedkin going to wrap this up? And then it becomes like this really like surreal type of journey just for like Roy Scheider, because at that point Nilo gets injured and he's basically out of the game.
Yep.
Like he's having like a dialogue still, like a back and forth, like, oh, you know, 2 whores in Morocco or like whatever he says.
Yeah.
But there's like no way he's getting out of that alive, and you know it. Roy Scheider's going to be in his own little world. And after he dies, he like dumps his body. He's in like this really surreal looking like desert canyon landscape. A landscape that you didn't necessarily expect to see in South America, because all you picture are like jungles and forests and like whatever the fuck.
Yes.
But it works so well because it's like, at this point, Roy Scheider has been through the most amount of hell I think any person in his situation could have been in. He hates his life. He hates what's going on. He's losing it.
Yeah.
Like his sanity is just slipping away.
Well, dude, he's got no food, no water, and he's driving this fucking truck that can only go 15 miles an hour.
And because he's the only character left whose perspective you're holding on to, it's like, yeah, he's going fucking crazy. Like, this is absolutely what would happen. He's losing the plot. And this is kind of going into this. You might get mad at me.
Oh,
I might bring something up that's a bit of a, not necessarily a gripe, but like just something that I thought was going to happen, and I'm kind of sad it didn't. I thought when he was walking back with the 1 box of nitroglycerin, and he's like all shaken up, he's out of it, he's lost his mind, everything is just weighing down on him, like he's just cracked, right?
Yeah.
I thought the way this was going to end, and I thought the way I kind of wanted it to end, was he walks up with the box, he sees the pillar of fire in front of him. It's this like literally hellish imagery that is before him. Like he's in hell, and
there will be blood.
He has no way of getting out.
Yeah.
So instead of even trying to reconcile with any idea of like getting out of the place, I thought he was going to throw himself on the fire, blow himself up, put it out.
That would have been cartoony.
I mean, maybe, but I feel like it would have been like kind of appropriate just based on like how far his mind had gone from him, how kind of crazy he had gotten, and just like the point of it being like, this has all been for naught. I did this struggle.
No, because he was still getting paid. There was 40,000 pesos that he was getting.
Yeah, sure, I guess. But, like, that's just, like, the one thing that
I was like... That's your artsy take on what should have happened.
I wanted him to kill himself. I wanted him to die in, like, some fiery way. And maybe he doesn't have to, like, throw himself into it, but, like... just like something about the fact that like because he's too far gone, he suffers the same fate as his friends before, and
they
everything.
Weren't friends.
Well, okay, I'm using that term loosely. His comrades, his co-workers, he suffers the same fate as them, and then it really hammers home that this has all been for nothing, and that this is the most nihilistic movie that I've ever seen.
No, I thought it was a great ending. I truly
I didn't hate it. I like the fact that it still has that like ambiguity about it of like, oh, the
Nah, he
mobsters
got
like show
fucking,
up.
He got caught, dude. It's out. Like we're not gonna. We don't have to show it to you. They didn't need to show us anything. It's like that he's done. Like,
Right.
He got shot up in that bar.
I guess what I mean by ambiguity is that you don't directly see it, but like
yeah, that's what
I like to think of the assumption that like they find him and they kill him.
They're
like that just adds like
yes.
one more fuck you to it. Well, it's funny because like I was reading the end of this movie and like the Wikipedia entry was like, oh, it's ambiguous how his ending is, or blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But like you and I both know that like they came in and fucking shot him.
Dude, I loved it because the reason why I loved it is he did all that. He's gone. Everything that he's done in life's led up to this point, right? And he said, "Fuck it, I came out on top. I did it. I'm gonna get the dance with the ugliest chick in the bar. I'm gonna get my fucking whore, and I'm gonna have 12 grand, and I can start up life in Des Moines, Iowa. I mean, like at the end of the day, he overcame, conquered, won, and you're sitting there, and he's like." I'm going to take that shot of tequila. I'm going to have that dance. I'm going to have a cigarette, and I'm getting on that plane, and I'm getting out of here.
Hold the plane.
And then those guys show up, and you just go like this, and you're like, no, how? And that's why I love that ending so much more. I didn't need some self-sacrifice with like, some mind loss realism. Like I'm like, because that's how. I mean. Honestly, that's how it plays out.
I guess to me, like and like I said, I do like how this movie actually ended.
Yeah.
But towards that moment at the end of the movie, I have this like demon-like energy of kill yourself, throw yourself into the fire, and make everything pointless.
Yeah.
And I would have just been really tickled with that. Obviously, I'm tickled with this whole movie.
Yes.
I love this thing either way. Despite my like weird hang up that I have.
Drawings. Is that what I saw when I walked in here? That's Roy Scheider throwing himself on a fire?
Yeah, I'm storyboarding the ending I wanted.
That's just cartoony.
He's got like a Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
A boxing glove comes up, punches him in the face.
Yeah, he does like a pirouette into the fire. Everything just blows up.
He just ragdolls into it.
Oh no, I loved it. I loved it. I was like, and there is some ambiguity going on because you could always make the argument that his friend took the mobsters down there and that maybe they switched it up and he hands him the gun and now it's fucking Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid style. They're trying to get out of this.
Like Western standoff happens.
It's just fun. I think it's just fun because I mean, it is fun. You never know how your fate will play out, and we still don't know how his fate played out. So it kind of goes into some of the theme with the story of all your actions have led you to this, and you still won't know. I mean, it's probably just a little cherry on the top of freaking going, hey, you guys, you can figure it out.
I love that this movie, like the thing I love about it the most is like it's ultimately about 4 people in hell and what they're willing to do to try to get out of hell.
Yeah.
And like to put themselves through more misery. And like the futility of struggling so hard that you just sink further into the quicksand. To me is like one of the most compelling things about the potential for making movies and like telling stories. I love the idea that you can put these characters through such misery and yet you still feel cathartic about where it all ends up.
Yeah.
Because it's such a well-made display of absolute misery.
I mean, yeah. And that's why I think it's really, it's fun. I want to say fun, but it's just it's a very interesting perspective or dynamic to have with this film is that you have all these shitbirds doing shit things that have to do this. You're still kind of rooting for them, yet when whatever happens to them, you completely understand. Mm-hmm. I don't think you really have that nowadays. I don't think there's any. You could watch a film almost at the same token, attach yourself, but be disattached from the character and go, boy, that sucks, but I understand.
I think, I think Good Time is a good comparison.
Oh, God.
Like talking about a movie with tension and also like a character who is like a piece of shit.
That's actually that's a really great point.
You still want to like kind of see like where it ends up.
Yeah.
And the tension is like, oh God, like he's going to get found out. Like this is going to be...
Uncut Gems is kind of close.
Uncut Gems, another Safdie Brothers movie.
Yes.
But yeah, it does evoke that idea of like, these guys are assholes, but I love that they're assholes and I love that they're going through all this horrible shit. Because to me, that's compelling and it's still shocks me when, you know, you get through like the most arduous thing you've ever done in your life and then you still die.
Dude, like, they do the fucking bridge. They blow up that goddamn tree, which that was a great scene in and of itself.
Oh, that was awesome.
Like, you talk about a mundane task with limited resources and being like, we're going to tense this stuff out, you know? Hey, we just got to blow up a tree. If we don't do it, we're going to die here because we can't go back. We can't go forward. So we have to figure out how to do it. But we also have to make sure we get the nitroglycerin back there so we can't use all of it. We also don't know how much to use. If we don't use enough, we have to do it again and come up with this entrapment again. It was beautiful, man. I hate using that fucking word, but I was like, it was beautiful. I was like, I can't believe I'm so roped into these guys trying to destroy a tree. And it's 15 minutes of just bullshit, you know, of them doing whatever they have to do, but it's so believable. And at the end of the day, if they don't do it, they're probably fucked.
Yeah, this is a great film. One of the better films I think we've talked about on this podcast. I mean, there's like so much in the way of like the production. I think Steve McQueen was originally going to be the choice for the character of Jackie Scanlon.
Yep.
William Friedkin, I was reading, and like I said, I'm just sparsing from what I remember reading about it this past weekend and today. William Friedkin was kind of, I guess, disappointed in the fact that there weren't that many actors in this film that were his first choice. There was only one that he kind of like had his sights set on, and I think it was the guy who played Nilo.
That's what I think too.
Whereas like everybody else,
or Victor, because this
might have been Victor.
This is originally a French film. Called The Wraths of Time, I want to say.
Yeah.
He had to reach out to the director to get permission to remake this thing. He told the guy that he'd send him money or whatever, he'd get X amount of profits.
Not to get ahead, but like Sam mentions it in his night call. That's a remake of the film Wages of Fear.
Wages of Fear.
Which the French translation is La Celerie de la Peur.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if Victor was in that one or not, but it might be Nilo too. There was one of those two, or well, shit. I guess you could say Casimo. It was someone.
There, one of the like four.
Yes. That
wasn't Roy Scheider.
Yeah.
Was his like first pick, but then every other character in this film was like his sixth or seventh pick.
Yeah.
So he was kind of like unhappy with the fact that like he didn't have a lot of big names. But I really didn't, to echo what we were saying earlier, I think the fact that there aren't that many big names in this movie does give it that like charm and that tension and believability.
Oh yeah.
Imagine trying to watch a movie like this with someone like Ben Affleck or Matt Damon, where it's like, yeah, I get they're maybe giving a good performance and like I still maybe have like the tension I would before, but at the same time there is this like, I don't know, grandiosity about it now that it didn't necessarily need to have. I love the fact that this movie is as simple as it is with people who feel like they are really dealing with it.
Yeah. Well, you have actors that are already branded with what they do. And he took non-branded actors, brought them into this thing, and you really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, that's the beauty of it. I think those things it goes a long ways if you can do that, but they have to have the acting chops. I don't know if these guys, I mean, they were good actors. They were fine with what they did. They're very believable in the environment. And I think that this thing plays out much more with the production and where they're at. And,
for sure.
It's not them being in, Victor being in France for an hour, going through, getting that exposition. Like, it plays more so into a lot of the environment elements of what are going on and what these guys are going through. So you can, I think it's like one of those perfectly marriage things where it's like we could get some lesser actors, people that you might not recognize, will take it in the box office, because the other problem that you have going on now is you got people that people don't recognize, and this thing starts out in French and Spanish, or I can't remember what the two languages were, that you're going to run into problems with the general audience.
So I think it really helps that not only does this movie, because I was thinking like someone could maybe have some hangups with like, okay, some of the dialogue and like the way it's delivered may be a little wooden. I think there's two facets that help that. One, the fact that these are actors that we don't really recognize kind of adds to the believability that they're real people. And two, other than like Roy Scheider, they're all foreign language speaking characters. Like, you can just assume that they don't speak perfect English. I mean, shit, I don't know if some of them did for this movie. Whereas, like, the way they deliver dialogue, it's like, yeah, they would deliver it in a wooden way maybe because that's not their first language.
Yeah.
Like, they're not used to speaking English.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think, like, there's a lot of this that, like you said, sort of that accidental magic of it just helping the movie out.
Yeah.
And, like, giving it that oomph, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're getting kind of long, so, like, was there anything else that we wanted to say about this? Like, there's so much I feel like we could dive in with Sorcerer. I mean, we didn't even talk about, like, the guy who kills himself at the beginning and, like, sends the French guy into, like, a hiding. The, like, Irish gang that, like, hits up the synagogue or, like, the church or whatever. And, like, the bride who's getting married with a black eye. Like, there's just, like, little detailed storytelling here and there that I appreciate. I don't know. I feel like we could go on, but I was wondering if, like, you had anything else.
No, the only thing that I had to add was the Irish gang, so that robbed the parish. One of the guys that had speaking lines was actually he was in a gang and robbed a parish.
Yeah,
so,
I read about that like some of the gang members were like IRA members or something, or like they were actual like criminals that were being used in the scene.
Yeah, that's why I mean that's about. There's some fun tidbits about how this thing kind of like they had to use another stunt man to come up with the famous car scene. You know, they had to find someone to blow up the tree, so they got Marvin the Torch, which is I think just a great moniker. Mm-hmm. You know, and outside of that, I think a lot of this thing, and Freakin' even says I think this is his favorite film because it's actually I don't know if you read it, but he said he's
the only one that he could have watched again. He
said it's the only one that I've ever directed that's the intent for how I wanted it to be seen.
Yeah,
so that's
like
why
it's his favorite film. He's the most proud of it.
Yeah, and
for damn good reason.
I mean, it's like one of those things where I like the accidental magic. It's just a lot of stuff that kind of came together that worked out that probably you had no idea making it. I mean, it feels so like. You know, like kind of up and coming college movie, and you know, but you have a vision, you know exactly how you want to do it, and then it just works out. So, no, this thing is this would be a fascinating to have a documentary made on this one, just with the guys that got arrested in Mexico, the malaria that strikes, like there was a whole bunch of shit that happened with this thing to make it not. And then Star Wars, we didn't even talk about it.
I was gonna say the one thing I kind of want to bring up before we like call this a discussion. Yes. Is the fact that this movie did not perform well. It came out around the same time that Star Wars did, and Star Wars came in and ate its lunch. Piper agrees with me.
Oh, yeah, dude.
She did her own research on
you
this.
have these two, you know, and it's kind of funny because I think I was talking to Sam about it. You have Star Wars coming out, and then you have a movie called Sorcerer. So, and I did this game with someone. I was like, all right, I say Sorcerer, what do you think of? And they said, Wizards, fantastical shit, you know, and I was like, there you go. That's why, you know, the reception is going to be awful, especially with a poor, and it's not, he had another one that he would have been so much better using besides Sorcerer.
Well, it's funny because there was also, and I was reading about this too before you came over, this sentiment of people are tired of these movies that deal with these complicated issues that have morally ambiguous characters that are sort of like more challenging for the audience to sink their teeth into. And there's like this era of pivoting towards these like more wider appeal pieces of filmmaking that something like Star Wars has to offer.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of interesting, like the shift in sentiment towards more like franchise, kind of like blockbuster, like family wider appeal filmmaking, away from sort of like the fucking the Martin Scorsese one, Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
I don't know why I think I have like dementia or something.
Sometimes it's hard to pull these things like right off, you know?
I know. It's like bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
But like moving away from like your Taxi Drivers or your Sorcerers or like your a fucking Straw Dogs or something like that.
Peck and Paw.
Yeah. Where like, okay, we want to move away from like auteur directors who make these challenging movies, and this is kind of what Hollywood wants. This is what studios want, and now studios are going to put all their money in on these safe bets that get more people in.
Yep.
So there's that whole sentiment going on. There was more to that piece of production that I was reading, but unfortunately there was a lot of it, and I didn't have time to get to all of it. So yes.
No, that was who knows? I mean, it's kind of interesting. If he names it something else, does it change the tides of time? You know, are we not seeing
big truck? big.
I don't remember
explosive truck.
So it's the Wages of Fear is what it was called.
Yeah,
right.
The Wages of Fear.
And then, so I told Sam, I said he had one lined up. I always kept calling it the Wrath of Time. It's not that, but you know, it's a very interesting, like, had he done a little bit better with the advertising on this thing. Also, what happened with this dude, and then last thing, just so you know.
For sure.
He got into a tiff with fucking Universal or who's ever the big production company.
So it was
this.
Universal and Paramount at the same time.
Yeah, and someone cut advertising on him, and they said, we're only doing this thing, instead of doing it like during our, you know, summer months or the winter months leading up to the release date, we're gonna get a three-week guerrilla marketing going where we're gonna throw this up there, because he got into a big tiff about and it might have been Paramount, because in one of the scenes with the oil rig company, he throws that guy's name up on the board as, like, you know, assholes or whatever, the big, you know, whoever were, and so some guy was like shitting bricks reading this, like starting to see that that they're taking shots in this movie on the owner of Paramount, you know, so
that's funny.
That's why it also struggled a little bit too with the name and with a lack of advertising budget to go into it. And then he sued them. He sued Paramount or Universal to try to get ownership or rights to the film.
He wanted the rights so that he could make DVDs and Blu-rays of it, because the lawsuit was in like 2012 or something.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what the outcome of that was. There's a Blu-ray of this. I'm picking it up for sure.
Same here.
Though.
I mean, me and Sam both agree. I think this is a PMC.
Absolutely. I'm happy to hear that. Well, speaking of how we feel about this movie, let's get into ratings. So, kind of switching back and forth with this, a bit of the hand-wringing I had with the ending and like how I could have wanted it to go.
Greater ending.
But this discussion sort of swayed me to the good side of things.
Okay.
This is a 10 out of 10.
Whoa! Holy shit. I don't know when the last time we had a 10 out of 10 film on here.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time you had a film higher than... Well,
I think... So I could maybe confidently say this is like the first movie you recommended that I gave a 10 to.
Fuck yeah. You've never gotten a 10 out of 10 with a rec.
You're like, oh, I remember.
No, I know.
I've been keeping track.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. I love this movie. I love how miserable it is. I love how arduously it's shot. I love how just surreal it gets. Just touching on themes of like living in hell and like what people are willing to do to try to get out of it, like how far you're willing to push yourself, the misery of these situations, whether or not you deserve to be in them. And this is great. I love it. I love how sweaty it is. I love how grimy it is. I love how just fucking evil this film feels.
Yes.
And yeah,
which
10
probably
out of 10.
Now I know what movies to recommend to get the 10 out of 10 nods.
I have a bit of a taste.
Yeah. No, this is a very high 9 out of 10.
That's what I had it at before.
Yeah.
I think I've been convinced to go to the double digits.
I want to see this one more time. I think my one is rewatchability, because
for sure.
You know, honestly, this thing is fantastic.
Give me like 2 weeks. I think I could rewatch this film.
Oh, dude, I had it. When I went down to Chattanooga for the training summit, I was trying to figure out how I could get back into Fandango to watch it. Like, I was like, I'd much rather watch this before I fall asleep than something else.
For sure.
Some of the exposition, the only thing that I had and I don't want to get issue with was exposition, but now knowing where it's going, I feel like I could sink my teeth in a little bit more with what I'm seeing, because it's so mysterious and elusive of what's going on. By the time that we get down with the 4 characters into Porvenir,
yeah,
I was like, all right, where are we going? But now that I know, I kind of feel like, all right, now I can get a little bit more into, let's see, like, if what ticks these guys got. Is there some piece of dialogue that I missed? I mean, how scummy are we? Like, how fucking bad is the situation that we're in? But yeah, I mean, truly great film. Yeah, this will probably,
excellent film.
It'll probably be a 10 out of 10, at some point.
You'll have to let me know.
Yeah.
Speaking of letting me know, hey, the phone's ringing.
Oh.
All right. Let's pick this bad boy up. Who is this?
Night Call with Sam Parker.
And I live among the creatures of the night. Call. I am the number do. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. You take my self-control. What up, Neon Mafia? Shout out. Neon Mafia, represent! So the last 2 weeks, or the last 2 episodes I've sent, or done them, and then they didn't send properly. So I've been absent, been slacking, but about to pick up that slack. First, excellent recommendation, Sorcerer. Have never seen. So glad Mackey picked it. It's like one of those movies you always hear about that definitely feels like homework, because it's always on like the almost awesome movies list. Get it off that list and just put it on awesome movies. Sorcerer rules. So many reasons why. I'm sure you guys are going through it. But the biggest, I think the coolest thing is rated R. And I saw on IMDb, I think like 2 F-bombs in the whole movie. Maybe one's in a foreign language. They talk about prostitutes at one point. And outside of that, there's very little profanity, if any. Some graphic and intense violent scenes, but there's no real nudity. There's no, it's a pretty straightforward adventure film. And I just thought it was excellent, man. Like, there was no nonsense. There was no forced love interest. There was no quiet, boring scene by a lake to catch your breath. Hey, how you doing? I'm okay. I'm a little shaken up. And then, like, with some exposition about their childhood. It was just straight, full tilt. Like, here's 4 dudes that have committed pretty heinous crimes. And now they're stuck in this oil camp in South America. And basically they're all, like, I am done with this. Let's get out of here. I just thought it was so excellent. The bridge scene alone is worth the price of admission. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, but I always go to YouTube to watch a trailer, set the mood, and I saw they had the full film, proper length, as I saw on IMDb. The quality was pretty darn good, but unfortunately, it was like a Czechoslovakian or Polish upload. So all the subtitles for closed caption were in that language, which no big deal. But about 12 minutes in, I'm like, there's a lot of French dialogue going on. Because when they're in Palestine, there's very little. I thought it was an artistic choice from the director. It's William Friedkin. So, I think he's done it in another film, not having subtitles, much like The Godfather. So I just assumed. And then I texted Mackie, and he's like, no, there's subtitles. So I missed, a third of the dialogue from this movie. And I gotta tell you, only missing a third I got the gist. Texted him for a clarification on one or two things. He gave me one, didn't know the other, and I was okay with that. So it's going to be a fun rewatch, but just excellent choice all around. And shout out to one of the most intense movies I've ever seen that could probably pass for being PG or PG-13, excuse me, by today's standard. The only other one I could think of, and Mackie and I went back and forth, that's rated R and could probably go for PG-13 is There Will Be Blood. And once you compare those two movies after watching, it's shocking, the similarities, the intensity, the overarching themes throughout. It was so good. And it was your classic jungle adventure movie that doesn't start the adventure till an hour in, just like Jaws, another Roy Scheider classic. Like, you wouldn't care about those three guys getting on the boat if that's how the movie started, right? You're incredibly invested in those three guys because you spent the first half of the movie with them, much like The Sandlot. I'm sure there's other movies, but this was great. And the other thing too, I thought it was miscasting by putting Roy Scheider in the lead, because he's the only face that you recognize in this movie, but you're also like, he could go at any second. And considering it's 1977, foreign films are, so unpopular. Like, nobody, you could have put the most famous foreign actors in those roles and the general audience wouldn't even have recognized them. So I thought it was good casting to get, these guys who were unknown to me. I thought they did a stand-up job, and it only added to that intensity and suspense of the film, because I'm thinking, anybody can go at any second. The opening shot was a guy looking out his hotel room and a hitman walking in, right? And so everybody is on the chopping block at all times throughout this film. And certainly a death scene occurs where that's the case. And it's like, that's the only levity and exposition you get in the movie between the main four characters. And it happens so fast that you're sitting there and you think you're going to catch your breath, and then just boom, out of nowhere. And you're like, holy cow. And so I thought it was just an excellent watch. I'm definitely going to rewatch and purchase for the rewatch. But if you're like me and you don't want to pay the $4 because you're cheap, you're just a cheap piece of crap, then it's on YouTube. And I would recommend that for anybody that wants to just put their toe in the water. You get through the first 20 minutes, you're probably going to watch the whole film. And I will say the slowest part of the movie is probably, that first 20 minutes. Because when they get down into, South America, you're sitting there asking questions. You're trying to figure stuff out. You're trying to figure out the lay of the land. Exactly what their job is, what the hierarchy, how are they getting in, how are they getting out, and all that stuff. And it's just, and during that time, you're figuring out the characters, how they're going to all connect. And by the time you figure it out, the movie hands you the map, and it's just jungle adventure time. And like any classic jungle adventure, you get the scene where you're on the hillside, about to fall over, grab my hand, one of those deals. You get the jungle bridge, that's about to snap and it's falling down. You get the natives attacking you. It's just, it is a standard, Indiana Jones plot, except it's 2 trucks full of nitroglycerin going over these things. Talk about tension. And how they reveal it, by the way, no subtitles. You just watch it and you get it. Like the guy gets a little bit of some drops on his hand, throws it at the ground, and it makes like a giant snapdragon pop. Boom! And you're like, oh, okay. So they're taking, 10,000 times, 100,000 times the amount of those drops across the country. They don't even tell you how far they're going. You just get an indication by the end of it of how little the characters have eaten and slept and how stressful that's got to be. It might have killed them of natural causes. Just really sound. And it is a prequel or a sequel or sequel or prequel. It's a remake of a film that I knew that's been on my watch list called Wages of Fear. It's another one of those films that's on like a bunch of lists, top 100 greatest films. I had no idea until I was reading the trivia. So I'm super excited to watch Wages of Fear because I just love the story. And it's just a really good recommendation. This is why the show is so awesome. I've seen... I get worried about the day I've seen every good movie, and then you guys pull this one out, and it was excellent. Bigger news this weekend, we are confirmed. IMAX Theater, Twisters. I'm not getting my hopes up, but I'm also pretty certain that it's going to be the best movie of the decade. I'm super excited to watch. We're going full family to this one. That's Mackie, his son Preston, my nephew, and our father, Preston's grandfather, Big Tim Parker. And just a little bit of a backstory. It's really just one sentence. But my dad took us to see that movie in theaters a bunch, and actually twice in one day. So we're going in the afternoon, and if I get that itch to go back, I am that night. And I don't care. I'll leave the baby in the car. Don't care. Whatever. It's Twisters. It's time. Summer blockbuster has arrived. I'll talk to you guys later. Stay out of the sun, Kyle. Mackie, put some sunscreen on that chest. I'll talk to you guys later. Stay safe. Bye.
Now that we got that out of the way, we have a question for the audience. I posed a question for the community, and they provided some answers. And we're going to go over those answers.
Let's hear it.
So the question was... what was the best movie you watched in the last 2 weeks? Just a simple hey, what are you guys watching?
Yeah, check in.
I might bring this question up again in the future just to see what people are digging into.
Yeah. And
here are some of the answers we got. So JP Zach says Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Have you ever watched this movie?
No, it's got the SNL gal in it.
Tina Fey,
and I think
she's
it was
going to Afghanistan
a
or Iraq or
comedy
something.
movie.
She's a photojournalist, but it's tongue-in-cheek about it.
Right. That's why
Obviously with the title Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Yep, WTF.
I remember the marketing for that movie and thinking to myself, I don't know. If I see it, I see it.
Yep.
If I don't, I don't.
There's a certain with the comedy war films, where they're the irony involved.
Yeah.
The dual side, dualism of man.
It made me think of a more lighthearted version of War Dogs, maybe. That Jonah Hill, Miles Teller.
Go watch Good Morning Vietnam.
I need to watch that.
Yeah.
You've seen that one?
Yeah. It's been a long time. But that would be one if we ever did a compare and contrast.
Those two could maybe
yeah.
Okay. I know.
Well,
it's
I haven't
Robin
seen
Williams.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, so I have no idea how funny it is. But it's got Tina Fey, and if you're billing her, I don't, unless she made a turn towards some serious thriller or drama.
I'd be curious. It seems like it's one of those that it's marketed as a comedy, but really it's there's some heavy shit going on.
Could be a very good case of mismarketing.
Could be. Maybe that's one we'll have to sniff
or we
around.
Get a little bit of a review on it. Someone throws out some info.
Christopher says, Gemini Man. I don't fucking believe you, Chris.
No.
Somehow I don't believe that that's the best movie you've seen in the last 2 weeks, unless you're like an obsessive weirdo that just watches it every time you go to sleep.
Maybe. I mean, there's some things in it.
Oh, there's things in it, all right. Like bee allergies and Will Smith.
I don't know if I could. I really can't remember much out from that film.
There's Clive Owen. I remember that. He's like the bad guy.
Uh-huh.
Who the fuck plays the female lead in that? I remember Benjamin Wong's in it. Or Benedict Wong, excuse me.
I'm telling you, all I remember is someone got the
I remember another
EpiPen in it, and there was a motorcycle chase in Venice.
And there's like a point that like, oh, he's allergic to bees.
Yeah.
And that's like a plot device. They're going to telegraph it throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm allergic to bees. I can't get stung.
Why? And yeah. And so Clive Owen harnessed bees and like sent them at him? Like, how do you just get...
if you're going to... Here's my... Okay, we didn't even discuss this on our episode where we talked about Gemini Man. If you're going to make a clone of like... the most highly trained assassin.
God won't make him perfect. He's got to be imperfect.
That's stupid. If you're going to make a clone of like the most efficient assassin in your organization, why would you retain him having a allergy to bees?
Yeah.
Why would you keep that?
I don't know.
I don't understand.
I don't either. That's why I don't remember much of the film. It was just ludicrous. It was ludicrous speed the whole time. And I had... You know what? I remember we've talked about it. I see some films. Sometimes they don't get saved in a file space. That's one of them.
Sometimes you have to empty out the hard drive, and that's...
But the problem is, like, someone's going to be like, we should watch this. Someone will be like, no. It's like, why? It's like, I don't remember. I don't remember anything of the film. It's just not good. It's like, well, you can't judge it then. It's like, no, I did at one point, and I deleted everything from it.
That's why we record these, so that when eventually we both get dementia and we can't remember any movies...
That'd be a fun one to go down.
We can go back and...
Yeah.
And re-listen to our conversation. I feel like, honestly, if we were to revisit a bad movie, I feel like Gemini Man wouldn't be the worst one, because I feel like there could be more shit we could say about it that we didn't touch on in the original
that we could have
episode.
like laughs about?
Yeah, like more things that we could point out that like just don't work. Like what I just talked about, for example. Like if you're gonna,
I think we talked about the bee thing, because I remember
we talked about the bee thing, but I didn't remember
making a clone and.
Well, yeah, like, why would you make a clone and then, like, keep the bee allergy? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
We had to make him imperfect some way, so we figured the easiest one to go was bee allergy. But who would have known there's bees in Venice? We didn't.
Who would have known that when he gets stung by a bee, he might die?
Yeah.
Megan says, Dancing Ninja. So this is a cheeky answer from her. I know for a fact that this is not the best film she saw in the last 2 weeks because we watched Stuart Little the next day.
Oh, that goes down smooth.
I'd be really curious to talk about Stuart Little on this podcast because we rewatched that and I have notes. I have things to say about that movie. Especially as like a childhood classic that I like to watch over and over again as a kid. But to summate Dancing Ninja, it's this like weird, like supposed to be pseudo sequel to Beverly Hills Ninja, except it's like got the fucking blonde kid from High School Musical in it.
Beverly Hills Ninja with Chris Farley?
Yeah, it's sort of like an American Psycho 2 thing of like it's kind of a sequel, but it's not really.
Yeah.
So then like it's super cheaply made. It's very kind of like self-aware about how like poor and stupid it is and like how low budget it is, but like that doesn't make it good.
Yeah, that's
like it's one of those things where like haha, we're making fun of ourselves so you can't make fun of us. It's like, no, it's not how it works. There's like a little bit about it that's like kind of funny, but just in a way of like, I can't believe this film is like doing this and I can't believe they fucking made this piece of garbage.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
All right. Wait, so are we doing this segment to rip on the films that people are telling us about?
I'm telling you my experience watching, because I've fucking seen Dancing Ninja.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, it is one that
won't be watching again.
No.
Okay.
I have fond memories of making fun of it, and I like the fact that like, oh yeah, I can.
There you go.
I can like reference this movie.
Gemini Man,
sure. But that's about as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Good friend of the pod. Let me start that over. Good friend of the pod, Jay Hall, I feel like we haven't heard from him in a minute. It's been a minute since we had an answer from our good buddy
still
Jay
listens.
Hall.
We haven't. Yeah, it's been a while since me and Jay Hall connected. So I mean,
I'm glad he's still here.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear from you, Jay.
But he's the
Hall.
one that he texted me about. I think both the films you're about to read, and curiosity has my attention.
Yeah. So he gave a bit of a longer answer. He says, "Fellas, good friend of the pod, and horror fan here checking in. Last week I went and saw Longlegs, and it was very good. But the best movie I've seen in the past 2 weeks, I watched a couple days after that, last Saturday, and I'm here to give some love to the movie Oddity. I did not think this movie was going to be great or even good going into it, but I was pleasantly surprised to say the least. This movie had the small crowd... Excuse me, my throat is trying to kill me. This movie had the small crowd I saw it in theaters with, audibly laughing and screaming. It's the best of both worlds. I would highly recommend this film." So I meant to look this up earlier, but I don't really know a whole lot about this movie. Oddity came out this year. Okay, Damian McCarthy directed it. It's actually playing in Grand Rapids right now. Paranormal horror film.
Yeah.
Starring William Lee. I don't know who this is. And it's a bunch of people I don't recognize their names. Huh. Okay. Box office of $1 million. Yeah, I mean, this looks interesting.
I think this might be right up your alley.
You have it on your watch list?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it on my browser just so I have it, and then when I look at it, I'll add it to my watch list as well. So I'll check it out, Jay Hall, and if both of us decide to check it out, we can maybe touch on it in a future episode. Thank you for your answer.
Yeah, he was texting me about that not too long ago, and I didn't want to. I was like, "Don't tell me too much," but he gave me a little bit about solving a crime through having, what do you call that when you seeing of the afterlife? Or
Like a medium?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
It was something along those lines.
Touching on Longlegs real quick, and I did like a whole like kind of bonus episode thing about it.
Yeah.
I really do like Longlegs. I think it is really good.
Okay.
I'd be curious what you think of it. I don't want to tell you too much about it.
No, I don't want anyone to, because I have this thing written down. I want to see it when I can see it. You know, like this is. There hasn't been a movie in a while that I've kind of like gotten a little bit more giddy about, and people keep feeding me a little bit of, it's interesting, check it out, I liked it, you know, just enough that you could tell there's some curious as to your thoughts on it. So I have this thing, it's climbing the ranks on movies that I want to see.
Excellent. So our last one, and this will be a quick one, comes from Alexander Keast 6777 on YouTube.
Nice.
Moon with Sam Rockwell.
Oh, that's an interesting one that I'd love to revisit.
Need to watch that movie. Have not seen it yet.
Yeah, it's I'd be interested to revisit it. I saw it when it kind of came out. I think it came out a little bit with some independent production company.
It's a smaller budget film from what I understand, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kinda like an intimate sci-fi type of thing.
Rockwell's-
Sam Rockwell is like one of the only... He's like the main carrier of that film, right? Like it's kind of on his back.
Kevin Spacey, I believe, is in it as the computer.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Not problematic at all.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a sci-fi mystery.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's some things going on, and
I think Duncan Jones directed that, right? He did the Jake Gyllenhaal Train movie, right?
Source Code.
Source Code. I think so, right?
He might have. That might have actually launched him to get Source Code, and then botched that pretty good. Actually, I don't know if Source Code's bad. I haven't seen it. I'm not going to
It's been a long time since I've seen Source Code. I remember it being fine.
Like meh.
I remember it being okay.
Yeah.
But
$6
I was like,
okay.
well, I was like fucking 19 when I saw it. So
Yeah.
who the fuck knows? That was like
Well,
10 years
you were
ago.
like the target
Jesus
audience.
Christ, I'm old.
Yeah. You know, so if you thought it was okay, I mean,
I'm
fine
already
with
the target audience because it's Jake Gyllenhaal. So if you're gonna put Jake in your movie, I'm already the guy you're aiming for.
Prince of Persia.
Oh no, Mac, don't speak too soon. I have to make a recommendation.
Oh God.
Yeah, well, thank you, Alex, for that. If you guys want to contribute to any more audience interactive stuff, keep a lookout on YouTube community and Facebook for potential posts. where you can either give us questions or give us answers or participate in some other way I might think of.
Sweet.
And Mac, we have one more bit of business before we wrap up.
We do.
I get to make a recommendation. Episode 77. Lucky number 77.
Yes.
My recommendation's not 7 by David Fincher, nor is it going to be lucky number 11 by whoever the fuck.
I haven't seen that one. That one, when that thing came out, I was so juiced to see it. Never saw it.
Maybe we'll have
was
to
it
pick
Lucky
up
number
on it
11?
one day.
No, Smoking Aces. I think Lucky number 11 preceded it.
I have no clue.
Proceeded
I
it?
just know that movie by title because I've heard Megan talk about it before.
I think Josh Hartnett's in it. Anyways.
Ooh, interesting. Maybe when Trap comes out, I'll recommend that one.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna do Deadpool, Wolverine. That's kind of like in the pocket for us, right?
Right.
Sort of what we're setting our sights on. So yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine. And so I'm gonna kind of tailor my recommendation around this.
Okay.
Let me get some info on this movie. It's 2010. This is a shorter film. It's about 96 minutes.
Okay.
So not too much in the way of time commitment. Stars Rainn Wilson of The Office fame, best known for playing Dwight. But this is a film directed by James Gunn.
Rainn Wilson, James Gunn, 2010.
Sort of the vein of like Kick-Ass, like R-rated take on like vigilante.
The Tick?
No.
Okay.
This film is called Super. It's got Rainn Wilson. He plays a vigilante superhero where his ability is just hitting people in the head with a fucking pipe wrench.
Oh, this will be fun.
And looks a little low budget. Looks a little bit crusty, but I'm excited to talk about this.
James Gunn directed it. We'll find out.
This could go, I think, either way for us. It's got like a very low Rotten Tomato score, but it's got an okay Letterboxd score.
Oh.
So
James Gunn got attached to a low budget film. They have to be buddies or something.
This was like obviously before like the Guardian stuff and like the
but he made this thing, so they looked at his filmography and said, "You're going to be the Guardians director."
Yeah. I
bet you there's some of that comedy in there.
I think given the fact that like Deadpool and Wolverine's coming out, it's going to be like the highest rated R superhero movie of all time.
Yeah.
Or the highest grossing R-rated superhero movie of all time. I figured why not revisit one of years past.
Yeah,
an R-rated
yeah.
take on superheroes from James Gunn from 2010.
Perfect.
So
super.
Let's
And
get
that added.
I'm feeling pretty super about this episode, and I hope you guys are too. And thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Neon Crew podcast. If you guys don't want to be spoiled for Super and Deadpool and Wolverine, be sure to check those movies out before 77. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Neon Crew podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to check out our social medias on YouTube Community and Facebook. We got an Etsy page. You can grab our merch. Thank you to Sam for doing the night call. Thank you to Gideon for doing our music, and thank you to Lauren for doing our logo design. You can find their various pages in the description below. And thank you to Mac. Glad to be back. Glad that we're in the swing of things again.
Feels good.
Doing our normal episodes. Hopefully no more hiccups in the foreseeable future. Can't promise anything, but we will try our best to remain consistent. McClain, what do we say at the end of this quite meaty endeavor?
WWTHD.
Bye, everyone. Ah!